Welcome to the Budget Finance Economic Development Committee. Today is our third day of doing budget deliberations, and it is now 10:01 a.m. My name is Yukile Sugimura. I'm the chair of this committee, and we are doing this meeting in accordance with the Sunshine Law. And as a reminder, when your name is called, if you're not in the chamber, please identify who is with you, and minors do not need to be identified. At this time, then, I'd like to start off with Chair Lee. Good morning, Chair Lee.
Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. And we can see you.
Okay. You can see, oh, good. Okay, so I'm sorry I can't be there this morning, but I wish I could say I'm in Costa Rica, but if I were in Costa Rica, I would say hola, hola. So I'm home alone with, in my workspace, looking forward to your meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you say hola? Hola.
Yeah, hola. Not hola, but hola.
Okay. Hola. Next, we have Member Paulton.
Costa Rica is on my bucket list. So, hola.
Hey!
And aloha kakaya kakako.
Hola to you. Member Johnson.
Hola, Chair.
Hola to you. And Member Hodgins, how was birthday?
It was great. Thank you so much. Luckily for me, my kids love bread pudding and not cake, so I don't have any extra cake. Nobody eats cake in my house. But it was great. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Happy to be here. Hola. Hola, however we want to say it.
All right. Member Sinensi, you drove all the way to Hana to take this meeting this morning from your home.
I did.
Hola.
I did. I got home at 10 o'clock last night. Aloha, hola, and eola kako here at the Hana District Office with district staff members, Mavis Medeiros and Don Lono, and probably Uncle Don and Jock would join us.
Time, right, in Hana. I wanted to also welcome the Office of the Mayor, Leslie Milner, Budget Director. Good morning. Department of Police Chief John Peltier. Good morning, Chief. Good morning. Thanks for being with us. Deputy Police Chief Wade Maeda, who has wonderful children. Leslie Uemae, accountant. Good morning. And Joy Medeiros, Captain Joy Medeiros, who's joined me at some meetings, so appreciate you being here. I didn't see you. You must be right below me. So Cheyenne Blaze Jarneski, accountant, is here also. Who's here? Oh, so who's not here is Joy Medeiros. Oh, okay. She's pretty awesome. Department of Corporation Counsel, we have Victoria Takayesu. Thank you very much for being with us. And Mimi Desjardins must be online then, or she's in the, oh, you'll join us later, or you can join us, okay. Lydia Toda is Risk Management Officer. Remember, she was at Maui Land and Pine. Lisa Kahuhu, Administrative Assistant. Christina Toshikio, Deputy Corporation Counsel. My awesome staff with OCS, Pauline Martins, Senior Committee Secretary. Thank you very much, Pauline, as well as Yvette Botelier, Kirstens, Zabel, and James Kruger, Jarrett Pasquale, Clarissa McDonald, and they make up the legislative analyst staff brains. Thank you very much for all that you do. Peter Hanano and Rochelle Kawasaki is OCS attorneys. Rochelle is actually our deputy director, so I don't mean to be disrespectful, who's having computer problems. Leigh Deneen, Council Services Assistant, she's out in the lobby. Thank you very much. Please see the last page for information on meeting connectivity. Thank you, members, for getting today's budget committee meeting together. And as you know, we have one item on our agenda, which is BFED 1. And what this means is the community can testify on everything and anything that's in the budget for 3 minutes when it's your time to testify. So before I go into the meat of the conversation, I just wanted to say that last night we had our first residency area meeting, and it was in Kula. Thank you very much, Casey, who did notes as we were going through the meeting, has
Pukalani.
information. Pukalani, okay, what did I say? Kula?
Yeah.
Or did you think, oh, we weren't in Kula?
I did think it.
So anyway, we were at the Hannibal Tavares Community Center, and we are true to form members. You are paying attention. Very good. The important thing, I think, I just want to summarize about the meeting is that the testifiers who came in organized were from the STEM program and with the Kinkekaliki High School automotive program, as well as the e-sport program in Pukalani Elementary. Both of them were at Pukalani Elementary. I was very impressed with the kids. And then we also had, and of course they were asking for funding, right? So they were giving their stories about why whatever they participated in were helpful. And Maui County Farm Bureau. So Warren Watanabe, who is the executive director, organized his slew of speakers, including Brandon Baltazar, who is hilarious, right? So it's always fun to see him that when he comes. And then the Kula Community Association was also present just to give us their list of what they want. And of course, their list is, much more than is in our budget. But I told them I would get back to them and talk to them about different things. It was good to see Jerry Ross, the owner of Kupa'a Farms. And I will tell you that when I first met him, I went to his farm is because somebody had an access deer that was in my driveway when I first launched the access deer program, the task force. And somebody took all the trouble in the world to drag this dead deer, put it in my driveway, and we had to figure out how to dispose of it. And that's how I met Jerry Ross. He does composting. It's pretty gross. But it turned out to be a positive experience. Thank you, Kyle Ellison from Malama Kula, who is talking about the cleanup of the August 23rd wildfire, and there's still work to do. I will tell you that in my district funds, I have given him to continue that work of the cleanup, as well as he's gotten an EPNS funding. So there's work to do, and we haven't forgotten. I think the thing that I want to, also a testifier came up and talked about the need for us to pay attention for federal funds that may be lost. And I will tell you that it is something of this committee. It is one of the questions for all the departments that we sent out about the impact of federal estate funds and your programs and what we need to do. But I think there's more to come. And August, the state is going to have a meeting just to talk about that. I am going to tie into it. So thank you for that testifier for bringing that up. And I think the funny thing that I want to end with is one of the testifiers from the automotive program or the STEM program was saying that he enjoyed it much more than he did when he went to the junior prom. And I thought, oh, that's very impactful for how important it is. And I thought, and then Kiani, what was your thought about that? Because you immediately tied into when Brandon Baltazar.
I did, Chair. I asked for a clarifying question because Mr. Baltazar said that he must have that testifier must have not gone to the proms that he had gone to if his STEM program was more fun than his prom. So I had asked for a clarifying question on his prom experience, which he clarified after the meeting.
That's right. You're the one, right?
Did Brandon go to the prom with his sister?
No, he said he went to every high school prom on the island.
Oh,
every high
okay.
school. Yeah. And then a little more details,
Yeah.
which I won't share here.
I believe that, all right.
Anyway, just trying to end that. But it was very, community came out in force and spirit, and I appreciate that. It is filmed and will be shown on Akaku and Facebook Live later. And that I've heard many words of appreciation for us coming to the community. And we will continue that. Tonight we're going to Hana and hear from what the community is saying about the work we're doing, as you heard last night. So at this time then, I would like to also say that if we can, we want to adjourn at 1 o'clock because we all have to travel to Hana. So that's the big goal. Remember your questions to be concise. We are getting all the responses from the departments. And then once we get that, we can learn more. Member Johnson.
Chair, I have a meeting before the meeting, and I'd like to maybe leave at 12:30 just to let you know.
Okay. I think tomorrow I wanted to leave early also. So, no? Okay. So we'll see how all this goes. I wanted to just remind all of you that Monday, April 14th, we will be receiving by 4:30 your priorities for the OED Economic Development Fund, so don't forget about that. And then on the 17th, which is that Thursday at 9 o'clock, we will be receiving from you your own priorities that you will be submitting. And then on the 21st of April, we get real property tax certification. Tied to that, this afternoon, we will be passing out, yesterday we asked by 4:30 for all of you to submit what your recommendations were for the real property tax range. We're gonna, did we pass it out already, or is it on Granicus yet? Okay, we'll do it after, but you're gonna get a copy of it, what everybody proposed, and then we can have a discussion of it before we finalize it. Okay. Member Rollins Fernandez.
Mahalo, Chair. To my understanding with the process for the range of rates reso, it's going to be posted tomorrow, right? And so my understanding was that we're going to have a discussion and not just get a copy of it, because there could be variations proposed by the different members. So
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I mean, that's why we're bringing it up. Otherwise, it would be done, deadline yesterday, already, you guys, done. But we're going to open it so that everybody can see what the members proposed and what the proposed final is, I guess. And then we can talk about it. Hope we can do this all before 1 o'clock today so that we can get in our cars and go to Hana. Any other questions? See none. Okay. So, at this time, then, I would like to ask for our chief to please provide any kind of information you would like us to consider for your department, and then we'll go to court counsel, and followed by public testimony.
Well, thank you very much. Good morning. Aloha. Hola, ¿cómo estás usted? I know I screw up a lot of pronunciation, so now that I know that it's fluid and flux, we can be in flux, I will feel less bad. Because I actually phonetically write things out, and they hear me do my a-e-i-o-us before I say things sometimes. So that being said, I'd like to just cover over some specific issues. One, all of the correspondence and the questions that you guys asked us, you do have them emailed. So everything is now in your baskets. So I know there's a lot of questions, but every answer has been supplied to you as far as that. So I know in the interest of time, that should really alleviate a lot of different things. Salary and wages, if we could just kind of talk about that first. The expansion positions that we're asking for, I think in this meeting, I'm actually going to make a couple changes on them, and you'll understand why. We are asking for an expansion position of something that's already there. We have currently been budgeted for 2 part-time cold case investigators. But because of some of the issues with DPS, we can't sort of seem to understand what a part-time investigator looks like. They wanted part-time officers. We're not doing that. We're going to have 2 full-time officers there. They're currently special assigned. This was born of the fire. They do all the missing person investigations, cold case homicide, cold case sexual assaults. They're doing remarkable work, and instead of just keeping them SA, we need to make them permanent. So it's just an adjustment to make those part-time, full-time positions. The custodial ground supervisor and custodial ground employees for Kihei, I'd like to pull this off because of a conversation that I had over the weekend when I was on Lanai with Council Member Johnson at the skate park. Director McCall had mentioned that because of the union request of some of the grounds and some of the custodial things, the reason we were asking this was because the Kalima Omaui folks, they don't want them, there was like, we don't want them working anymore because we're going to give that to the union. I personally think if we don't fight for them, then shame on us. And so I don't ever want to fill that when Kalima Omaui wants to do that work. And so to me, that's a line in the sand. So if we could pause that because the state is apparently making some headway, we can go back next year and do it. And if people are a little upset, well, get in line. But I'm going to fight for those folks. I'm sorry. I think that's a really appropriate thing to do. The information practice coordinator, that is a FOIA or a UREPA request. We've seen that born of the fires, but it's a full-time job. We need to do that. And so you'll see that. In addition, you'll see the core counselor position. We made an adjustment from juvenile. We put them into core. So that's one of the things we absolutely do need. They facilitate and lead the LIT program, the Live in Your Truth program, which is a state mandated position, and they just do an exceptional job. And again, that's being special assigned, and so we do need to make that permanent. For operations, the subsidized vehicles, this is a recruiting and retention issue. We are the only county that wasn't doing it. We are doing it now. And if we want to attract local folks from this community and from within the state, we need to make sure that we're as competitive, if not more, than any other place. And we cannot be doing things lesser than other places are doing it. So that's simply for that. We're asking for $2 million. This is the final component for the CAD RMS, the Computer Assisted Dispatch Record Management System. This will be the best computer dispatch system in the state when it's done. These are for the final interfaces, the final pieces to do that. We anticipate going live by the end of third quarter this year. If there's extra monies in that, we will use that for the beginning of some software to help build a real-time operations center. And so there'll be some cameras we may need at some point, but that'll be for what that is. The K-9 program, and I don't know if you're looking at the handout that I gave you, but the K-9 program, we talk about operations. Those are the first two dogs. You see their names right there. And so Kumakani and Makaihe, if I said that right, tip of the spear. And I think I said the H. Yeah. But I wanted to make sure that we had strong Hawaiian names. That was my ask. These are the first two patrol police dogs in the state. Our officers, the first two officers, our sergeant and officer, are going there this weekend to begin a 6-week program, and then we're going to do more training here. We've also purchased the other two dogs. There'll be 8 in total to begin with. One will be on Molokai for sure. And then we can look to expand as needed to Lanai. But this is a game changer. This will change policing. This will actually be an incredible de-escalation tactic and technique. And I think it's going to be an incredible recruiting and retention thing that we will all be very proud of, and you guys have a huge hand in that. The radio shop, we turn the page. It's deceptive. Our budget is deceptive because we have this number in there that the police department has had that burden, but fire uses it, parks use it, everybody in the county uses the radio system that we built. And then when we start talking about some of these CIP projects, let's go back in time 19 and a half months ago. The only reason we had radio communications was the tower on Lanai and the tower on the Big Island prevented the blackout of the radios. And that shows that the infrastructure that was put in place years ago paid dividends when we needed it. But we have to have continual upgrades and improvements and different things like that. And so you'll see that, and to me, they're no-brainers, but again, it shows the operations of why exactly we need this. And if you flip the page, I wanted you to see the helicopter. It's on Maui, it's being finished, it's being completed. The paint scheme is a play on the current police vehicles. The department voted on it. Heikili is thunder in Hawaiian, that's its name, Blue Thunder. And so some of the older folks might get a little kick of that. And so that's, the go live date will be this summer. And it's extremely exciting with what we're gonna be able to do with that. Turning the page, some equipment that we have to get. Portable radios. It's actually not for the vehicles. These are going to be portable radios for the officers. And here is one of them. And this particular radio, what's great about this is this radio is, unfortunately, this is $7,500. But what's great about this radio will pick up cell and Wi-Fi from the building that you're in. So now if the officer's in here, it'll pick up the cell and Wi-Fi, and they'll use that as a repeater. So if you're in the hotels, if you're in different properties, if you're at locations that don't normally have the capability, it'll grab your cell and Wi-Fi. And what's even more important about this, it'll tell where all the other radios are. So now when we have an officer in distress, we've got the fire, we've got these different issues, we're going to know where each and every person is. this is a game changer. Now, the other reason why we have to do this, and this is, and I only asked for half, but the only reason that we have to do this, the current radios that are being made, it's like an iPhone 8, if you will. Well, eventually it's not going to be supported. They're not manufacturing those radios anymore. And so it's an evolving technology. And so this is going to be where we're going to be forced to have to go to. And I don't think that it's something that we want to shy away from. You'll see the network expansion, that's increasing communication abilities. And then you're going to see this come up more and more and more. And I actually do encourage, as we have these discussions and we build this, but cyber crimes is really a huge direction for the future. Think about this. When we start asking about digital footprints and digital evidence and looking at, oh, how do we know that cell phone was there? How do we, the text messages of the murderer? Well, it's the cyber crimes unit that's looking at those things, you know? And so those are things that are not cheap, they're not free, but that's going to be the standard. And so this is for some laptops for that. It's something that's absolutely necessary as we go on. Turning the page, the forensic facility. One of the things that I think that the council can be very proud of, one of the things that the community can be very proud of, is what we've built, which we referred to as the MINT for the fire, right? The Morgue Identification Notification Task Force. That forensic facility right now, as it exists, we have some of the leading technology that nobody else has in the state. The Maui Police Foundation, from the monies that came in from the fire, we bought the rapid DNA machine that we used in the fires. Nobody else has that right now. Big Island's coming over to look at it, and we're actually trying to help them. When the 2 people that were attacked by the shark, we believe, on Oahu occurred, we reached out and said, we will come and get you a DNA profile, and we can do it within a few hours. They opted not to because they felt they could do it within 24, but we could do it in 3, and I'm including travel time. We can get a profile in less than an hour. And if we have a family member and we do it simultaneous, so just imagine that, how quick we can, it doesn't exist. But the problem is nobody paid attention to the forensic facility for years. Nobody. People here didn't even bother to visit it during the fires. Okay, so I just say it got ignored, but we can't ignore it anymore. So we need to make some improvements, and that's exactly what that's for. You'll see the upgrades for the radio system facility. They're self-explanatory. That's there. And so we know we need to get those. Turning the page to the Wailuku Station facility improvements, 40-year building. Every ceiling tile now is replaced, but you know, we've got things in there that grossly need to be replaced. It's not ADA compliant. We need to fix that. It's, again, self-explanatory. We need to fix the parking lot. We need to pave over in the area where the Cameron Center is. The reason I'm putting that out there, I didn't ask you for anything Gucci. I didn't say, hey, we need to get this because we want it. Look, cops are, I get it. They want the coolest, they want staccatos, right? Those are $2,500 handguns. We have Glocks. Those are $450 handguns. We're going to be putting an optic on at some point here because it'll actually help officers shoot better, which we want to target isolation, target identification. We want to be able to do that. But we're not asking for things that are not operationally necessary. Every single thing we asked for in this budget is because we've identified a need, and it's a need that this county has to have. It's not lost on me that really, and this is not fluff, Chair, I've said this, I'll continue to say this, one of the greatest partnerships that MPD has is this council, without a doubt. The relationships that we've built, the needs that you guys see, it's very clear. I'd be remiss in the opening comments if I don't acknowledge the Police Commission Chair, Stacey Moniz, because the budget we submitted, I know it's one of the questions, Chair, that you had, but we work for months as a collaborative group, and the budget that is actually submitted to the mayor is actually the police commission's budget. That's what's submitted, and so I appreciate the work that is done in a collaboration with that. And so I know there'll be questions and different things like that. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to present this, Mahal.
Hey, thank you. We know you would be enthusiastic. Thank you for your presentation. Next, we have Corp Counsel.
Thanks. Good morning, Chair, committee members. I'm not quite sure how to follow that up. I have no dogs. I have no helicopters. I have no super radios, but I'll try my best. So our asks are somewhat minor. I know, like Blue Thunder, what the heck? Anyway, but it makes our asks so much smaller.
Approved.
Thank you. Okay, I'm done. What we are asking for are 2 expansion position deputy positions. Those were really the brainchild of our first deputy. What we envision is 1 full-time deputy for the Department of Environmental Management. They've, as you know, have had quite a heavy lift after the fires and will continue to do so as recovery continues on. That will also assist us in reshuffling some of the assignments so that our other deputies as well can devote more time to departments with heavy lifts, such as police, public works, or planning. And the other deputy position we're envisioning is a land management position. I know that that was discussed a little bit with personnel yesterday. What we envision our deputy doing is having someone with land management experience working closely with the Department of Finance's proposed position of a land manager administrator, but our deputy will be able to assess properties, help with sales, acquisitions, easements, rights of entries, eminent domain actions, all the legalese that really we don't have someone specifically set for. So we think it'll be a real addition to the team for the county. And then the other expansion position would just be a law tech to help support those 2 deputies. We are asking for a vehicle. This is the most exciting thing maybe that we have. It's for our investigator. We want an SUV for him because he does go to all areas of the island. Tinted windows because he does do some surveillance, all-wheel drive, etc. So that's kind of neat. Sort of. Or maybe the police could give us one of their old vehicles. And then the last ask we're asking for, and this is more of a safety net. You guys graciously gave us the funding for our e-discovery program last year. We got off to a slow start because we have to work closely with IT, obviously for confidentiality, security, so on. But IT was tasked with migrating the county to the 365, which was a huge lift for them. So we sort of, took a backseat to that, obviously. But then now that we've migrated on, IT has worked hand in hand with us in getting an appropriate RFP that they're comfortable with the guidelines that we're comfortable with, that will serve our needs. And in fact, the RFP should be going out today. We should be getting bids by the end of the month. We should have the contract signed by June 30th. Yay. But my concern is if something goes wrong, July 1st comes and we don't have the contract, then we won't have the funding. I promise to give it back if we don't use it, if we get this contract signed in time, but it's more of a, like I said, a safety net. And those are, I think, the highlights of our budget. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So at this time, then I'm going to take public testimony. Do we have testifiers signed up? We do. Okay. So anybody who would like to testify, please identify yourself when you come to the podium. You have 3 minutes and 30 seconds to finish. You can testify on anything in the budget, as I said earlier. And if there are people online, you can join via Teams, and please raise your hand by clicking on the raise your hand button. Or if calling in, please follow the prompts via phone, *5 to raise and lower your hand, and *6 to mute and unmute. Staff will add names to the testifier list in the order that they do sign up. And, okay. And then after you're done, they will also enable your microphone and video. And if you wish to testify anonymously, please notify staff so they will not call your name out. And that's all. Oh, you can view this on Akaku Channel 53, Facebook Live, or MauiCounty.us agendas. All right. Can you call the testifiers?
Yes, Chair. The first testifier is John Pele, to be followed by Stacy Moniz.
Good morning.
Make sure I get this right. Hola, Chair, and aloha, everybody, and astute council members. My name is John Pele, representing the Maui Hotel and Lodging Association. On a side subject, I also heard that $7,500 radio can prepare a cup of coffee for you in the morning also, so it's probably a good investment. But anyways, I really thank you guys for letting me testify today. The item I'm testifying on, what you guys were hearing yesterday, and I apologize, I had a schedule conflict, so I'm a day late. Hopefully I'm not $1 short. So I did want to talk about the mayor's budget and how we were excited in the OED section of the grant funding, that there was $450,000 line item for the promotion of the visited industry. We were also excited to see $300,000 on a line item for the promotion of the wedding industry. And just to share some facts, you might probably know I'm kind of new at this position, just over 3 months now. But prior to me being where I'm at as the executive director, there had already been what we call the visitor industry partnership formed with some of the entities that you might know. MHLA is there, MVB is there in our meetings. The county is represented in those meetings. Some OED representatives are there. HTA is there. So we're kind of talking up things over, and the Wedding Association for Maui is also present. So we kind of talk about things about how the visitor industry is going to look. And we get it, guys. We understand where we're at with the visitor industry. We understand where we're at with the funding. We understand what used to be and what is now. And that's where we're at. We got to live in this space. And one of the words we do hear a lot is mitigate and impacts of our industry. And I just want to let people know that in my position, I am dedicated to make sure that we are controlling the impacts, or we are trying to satisfy the impacts of our industry. We've heard you. We've heard what the community wants, and we want to be here to help be a solution with mitigation. And those funds that are there, although they're not what they used to be, we appreciate them being there. And I think furthermore, we have to understand, I guess I'll just leave that as it is, as far as the different entities. If you guys want to talk about the entities, all the letter entities, please, I'm happy to be here and share with you.
Nice to see you here. Anybody have questions? Member Paulton.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Pele, for your testimony. I was wondering if you had a breakdown as to how the $450,000 for fiscal year 25 was utilized.
I don't have a breakdown, and I was hoping you'd ask this question. I think I need to clarify some things. So MHLA, Maui Hotel and Lodging Association, we're an advocacy group. We don't market. That's not our expertise, and that's not what we do. We stand before you, and we advocate for funding so that our professional marketers like MVB and other people can go do what they do. And so we are working at getting MVB.
To clarify,
yes.
You don't know if they were even used or not then?
Oh, for 2025, I don't know if they've been used or not.
Oh. Okay, if the director knows, I guess we'll save that for discussion.
Yeah, I just wanted to further clarify. You hear all these letter groups, HLTA, HHA, HTA, MVB, HVCB. We are separate from all of those. We're partners with them, but we're not with them, right? We're on our own. We don't receive any funding from government. We're totally membership driven as far as our funding at MHLA, and we are an advocacy group. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else have questions? Seeing none. Okay. And if we want, we can send that question to the appropriate entity, because that's not the appropriate entity.
Oh, I
Next-
missed the 9 o'clock deadline though. That was for mayors, right?
This morning.
Okay, we can talk, sorry.
So next testifier.
Chair. Yes, Chair. The next testifier is Stacey Moniz, to be followed by Tom Crowley.
Well, feel really short. Hi, excuse me. I'm Stacey Moniz, and I'm here today in the capacity as the chair of my police commission. I want to thank all of you folks for being leaders. I believe it is hola. But I said to somebody one time, I don't habla Espanol, and she said to me, obviously. So I believe it's correct that the H is supposed to be silent. So that's just my personal own lived experience of wrecking the Spanish language. I am bilingual. I only speak Pidgin and regular English, though, so that's about it. But good morning, everybody. Thank you again for being leaders. I know it's a tough time to be leaders right now, so thank you for being here. I just want to say, the chief did a great job of explaining all the new things and the flashy toys, and I think that is a hard act to follow. Because in addition to them being flashy, they are here to help us protect our people. And I think after the fires, we get to see really and truly how critical all these services are. I'm here today to kind of echo some of the things and spotlight a few. I grew up here on Maui, and so I remember a time when we used to subsidize police vehicles, and my neighbor was a policeman. He had like a car, I wanted to call it was like a Monte Carlo or something like this, very big, long, but you could tell all the police cars, they all kind of looked like that. They were low to the ground and fast, and so I really support subsidizing cars. I do agree that it will help with both retention, which is really important, and recruiting new officers. And I wanted to echo the conversation about the 911 system, which is so much more than just police. The fire uses it, EMS uses it, animal control uses it. So if we actually divided up the cost between all these departments, that might make it easier for us to see, but the police budget is kind of large because we're supporting all these different entities as well. The Police Commission asked for a really big increase, and that is so that we can bring our secretary to full-time. And the biggest increase would be the investigator. It's a full-time position. I want to mention that previously we would borrow Corporation Counsel's investigator, but then they retired, so then we didn't have the Honolulu Police Department's investigator retired, so that left us without an investigator. And we have about 5 complaints that are outstanding all the way back to 2022. So I feel horrible for those people who are still waiting for an investigation to happen, but that's just the truth. It's kind of the justification for that position. And eventually we'd like to get our own meeting space. For me personally, I feel like if you have a complaint to file against the police department, it's really hard to take that complaint to the police department. So if we had a place outside the police station where people could drop off their complaints, it is written in our guidelines that they can deliver it to a commissioner, but that's part of all of that. So we did submit some answers to you folks for some of your questions, specifically about the commission, the investigator, but I'm here to answer questions if you need. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Questions, Member Paulson.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Ms. Moniz, for your testimony. I was wondering if you could clarify on the investigator position, what is it that they're investigating? Complaints against the police department?
Yes. So, there's complaints against the police officers. So when we get a complaint, when the police commission secretary gets a complaint, we gather information, whatever we can, before our commission meeting, and then during our executive session, we'll review it and see if it's we need to send it out for investigation.
So if yesterday somebody sent me a letter, can I just give it to you?
Actually, they have to fill out a complaint form, and they have to have that notarized and then get it to our commission secretary within 60 days of the complaint. So I know it's a high threshold. 'Cause
So
we've-
what should I do with the letter? Just send it back to the person? Oh, send it.
And yeah.
I'll go down to my car and grab it right now.
That's a great, yeah, because if they want it reviewed by the commission, it has to be on the form. They can attach that letter to the form and have it notarized. Yeah, we just want to, yeah. And if we do not investigate, we have to give all of our reasons why. Those are all created by statute too. But yeah, I know we've had other complaints where people call and complain and they have to go through the process.
A rundown.
Yeah, it's kind of cumbersome for sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else have questions? Seeing none? All right. Oh, I'm sorry. Member Kama.
I have a question, but I just want to thank Stacy for her work with the commission. And I know you understand how hard it is to sit here, but we also understand how hard it is for you to sit where you're at.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
Thank you too. I appreciate you all.
Thank you, Chair.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Seeing none. I want to ask you a quick question. I think it was one of the questions, but if you could tell all the members. I heard that what the commission had approved is not what the mayor had submitted. So do you know about that?
I didn't realize that.
Okay.
Sorry, I haven't looked at the mayor's budget in comparison. Did you?
Okay, wait, you're not the testifier? Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
I thought maybe you would have known.
No, I didn't look. Sorry.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other testifiers?
Yes, Chair. The next testifier is Tom Crowley, to be followed by DeAndre Makakoa.
Aloha, Council Committee. Thank you, Chair. Tom Crowley, testifying on my own behalf. Thank you, Chair, for alerting us in this, that you are going to have discussion about the range of real property tax rates. Otherwise, I might have held this testimony for a little while longer. Maui County has approximately 27,500 properties that are owner occupied. And as I've told you before, all but 146 of these property owners benefit from a $300,000 tax exemption and a much lower tax rate than any other property tax classification. To receive these benefits, the owners of these properties must reside full-time as Maui residents, and the code defines this as 270 days a year. Some of these owner-occupied properties are strictly homes with no other uses taking place on the property. However, many take advantage of Maui County Code 19.67.40 and operate a home business that allows them to operate a variety of businesses like massage therapy, hair salons, professional services like law offices, accountants, bookkeepers, and a host of remote workers who operate from their homes. And defined in home in code, these businesses must be operated by the resident owner and may have up to one employee and may use up to 40% of the home for their business purpose and serve up to 2 customers at a time and a total of no more than 16 customers a day. All of these home-based businesses are taxed as owner-occupied. Some owner-occupied properties are located in business zones and are made up of multiple buildings, offering, in some cases, full retail stores and even food services. And the entire property, including the commercial businesses and buildings, are taxed at owner-occupied tax rates, provided that at least a portion of the property is used by an owner, not all the owners, but an owner on the property. So again, that we have commercial uses in commercial in business zoning that are taxed as owner occupied. Many Maui residents, not many, but some Maui residents operate a daycare or a preschool from their homes, and they're not only taxed as owner occupied, but they're given an additional exemption on top of the homeowner exemption. The only Maui resident homeowners operating a home-based business that are not taxed at owner-occupied rates are the 146 Maui residents who have gone through the process to be granted a B&B permit to use a portion, sometimes as little as a single bedroom, to host guests in their homes for less than 180 days at a time. I'm asking the council to establish fairness for these Maui residents by establishing tax rates in the commercialized residential tax classification that mirror the tax rates that are provided to other Maui homeowners operating businesses from their homes. While you cannot restore the homeowner exemption to these homeowners because that would take a change in the bed and breakfast ordinance, you can tax them more fairly. Over the 16 years since the commercialized residential tax classification was established,
Tom.
I'm in my last two sentences.
Okay.
Over the 16 years since the commercialized tax residential classification was established and applied to my home, the increase in my personal property taxes has risen from double to what's proposed this year to be more than triple the rate or the total tax bill that I would have to pay if I did not have my B&B permit. So as you discuss the range, please make sure the range is at least as broad as the homeowner range, and I'll bring you more justification for this further down the road. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody have questions for Mr. Crowley? Okay, see none. Thank you very much. Thanks very much for being here.
Aloha.
Aloha. Next testifier.
Chair, the next and currently final individual signed up to testify is DeAndre Makakoa.
Aloha, Chair and Council members. My name is DeAndre Makakoa. I'm a filmmaker and a fire survivor from Lahaina, and I provide video and storytelling services across Maui for people who need it, like farmers, nonprofits, community groups, cultural practitioners, things like that. But I'm here today humbly asking that the county consider future funding support for Maui-based film and media projects that can, strengthen our economy, support recovery, and also reposition our tourism industry for longer-term sustainability. Over the past year, our team of multi-generational Lahaina locals, we've led the production of an impact-driven film focused on Maui's recovery. And the production process alone has already been, it's already had a powerful effect in our community, and it has the potential to reach global audiences and shift the way people see and engage with Maui. Getting this far has been a real challenge because we've chosen integrity over convenience, and that's cost us a lot because we've struggled to find private funding that wouldn't try to influence our story. And I believe that's where the county can step in. Supporting future local media production isn't just an investment in storytelling, but when it's done properly and with intention, it can be a tool for economic development because it keeps jobs and creative talent here on island. It's a high demand industry, and it's a growing industry. And it also helps brand Maui in a way that aligns with our values, especially when it comes to tourism. Tourism across the globe is evolving, and the visitors we want are the ones who care, contribute, come to learn, and come to connect. So strategic media projects like the ones we do and are planning to do in the future are exactly what attract these types of visitors. It helps steer the industry in a direction that benefits both visitors and our residents, which we all know has been very one-sided. And it brings long-term value to Maui's recovery and reputation by, reaching that global audience with that type of storytelling. So I don't have a formal budget request, but if this is something that the council would be open to exploring, I would be happy to follow up with a more detailed proposal. But mahalo nui ake aloha no.
Thank you. So I have a question for you, then I'll turn it over to the members. It is budget related because we do have film in our budget. So are you working with our film commissioner, the film commissioner?
We've been in talks with, but it hasn't resulted in any type of support other than like advice and stuff. Like to apply for grants and such.
Oh, okay. So there are grants that are available to you then? Is that what you just said?
There's grants we have applied for, but we haven't gotten. But yeah, there are grants out there for film-related projects.
Because this is county budget, so through the county.
Not.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Oh, Shirley?
Me?
Oh, you know what? I can't see you behind all these things that are on my screen. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Mr. Makakoa, welcome. Nice to see you again. Just wondering, you didn't make any specific requests, but can you give us a range of how much you would ordinarily need for your project?
Well, for example, the project that we're wrapping up on now, that's we're already, proposing it or sending it off to film festivals and trying to reach that global audience. We made this film for just around 200,000, and that was all from, angel donors and private funding.
Okay. Okay, that gives us an idea of the kind of funding that you need. Why weren't you able to get funding from the county previously? Do you know? You may want to consider, my time is real limited, so you may want to consider an umbrella agency. Sometimes people who the county works with on a regular basis, a nonprofit, could help you apply for and manage the grant, and then you get the funds, for a fee. So you may consider that. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Member Paulton.
Thank you, Chair. What is the name of your production company?
So we're two, technically. It's Malama Productions and Island Eye Productions. It's three of us between the two.
And how important is it to you that local filmmakers, local producers, local all the things are utilized?
So to me, it's extremely important because as it stands, the film industry and just what everybody knows about Maui has been told largely by outsiders. And I think that's largely the reason why we attract the type of visitors we attract, who are just here the people who watch Temptation Island or who watch, Hollywood movies about whatever, just expecting that Mai Tai on the beach and people cleaning up after them. But if we were to realign that with the way we see our island, the way we see our culture, the way we envision our tourism industry, and we then hold that narrative, then we can attract a better type of visitor, people who want to come plant trees or go on historical tours or go to museums, more than just the surface level Mai Tai on the beach. I think that's what local storytelling can do.
Thank you. And if you were able to secure a line item in the fiscal year 26 budget, which would be the preference for Malama or Island Eye Productions for it to go under?
Oh, shucks. I think I would have to talk to the rest of my team about that.
Okay.
Before I could.
You can get back to me maybe when Maddie testifies on the 10th. You might know.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Member
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. Aloha, Mr. Makakoa. Thank you for coming before us and identifying yourself as another filmmaker. Because, we're looking for filmmakers, local filmmakers who hire local staff and, keep our local people who are excited about the film industry alive and well. So my question is there a way we can contact you or email you or?
Oh yeah, definitely. I can provide my phone number and email.
Okay. Thank you.
Should I do that here?
Yes, you can send it to our staff and they can, I guess, send it out to us who don't have it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Anybody else have questions? I see no more hands. Thank you very much. And if you give us your phone number, you're going to hear from all 9 of us. So get ready. Thank you.
All right. Sounds. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Next testifier.
Chair, now the final testifier signed up is Junior Nakua.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. Okay. I seen the camera guy. He's the guy DeAndre, but I call him the camera guy. I seen their work, bro. I seen their work. I seen what they do. I see how they educate the America about what's happening here in Lahaina and all that stuff. So it's very valuable. But it's kind of coincidence that today at 3 o'clock, the state legislation is taking up a bill for the filmmakers here in Hawaii. And one of the part of the bill is for the people, the productions that hire 80% local of Hawaii people, they're going to get another tax break. You know, so that's what we like do. We like, hey, you guys all know, I go to the Temptation Island for two months or lock up a little bit. But I will get to see what actually will happen in this film industry. I know they're using mainland companies for rent cars and all that stuff. I'll scold them. I tell them, hey, you go use the local kind. And you know what? They did. So if we can go ahead and educate these producers and come over here to shop local, use the locals, use everything locals, you know what I mean, and whatnot, and we can benefit from that. But you can imagine if we get young filmmakers like Camera Guy, like Blake, like Maddie, like all those buggers. I tell them don't film me because I'm ugly bugger. So I tell them don't put me in front of the camera. But I gotta tell you guys this, but I mean, if you find a way for help fund these guys, it'll be awesome. I can call up Tracy Bennett. So he also is trying to work out to help these guys. So we all gotta put our heads together and how we can make these young film producers kick some okole. You know, man, educate America when they come over here, how to act, how to respect our resources, how to respect our culture, and all that stuff. So, yes, sir. Good job, Camera Guy. I got you. Okay, you guys have a good one. No have a question, please.
Okay, no questions for Junior at his request. Does anybody have questions? We don't want him to say we don't care for him. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Any more testimony?
Yes, have a good one.
Chair, there is currently no one else who signed up to testify. Would you like me to do a last call?
Yes, please.
If somebody would like to testify in the chamber, please let staff know. Or on Microsoft Teams, please raise your hand. This is final call. 3, 2, 1. Chair, it appears that nobody wishes to testify.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody. And with your permission, I'd like to close public testimony and receive written testimony.
No objections, Chair.
Thank you. So we're going to go into deliberations. We'll ask for 3 minutes per. And just before we start, we're going to start with police. So Corp Counsel, if you want to be in the gallery, that's fine. Or you can sit with police. So police is on Granicus number 27 for PD1, and Corp Counsel is on 11 when we start. So this time then, shall we start with Member Senensi? And we'll go down this way.
Mahalo, Chair, and mahalo, Chief Pelletier, for the presentation. Our questions had to do with East Maui. And as you know, we get a lot of calls. Our office gets a lot of calls out in Kipuhulu and Kaupo. We get, a lot of the residents and the visitors out on our highway. And we want to keep our the Hana Highway safe. And so recently the Hana Patrol shifts changed from a 3 8-hour shift to 2 12-hour shifts. And that means that more officers are on one of the shifts than the other one. So for your vacancies, are there any plans to add any more patrolmen out in East Maui?
Chief?
So some of the stuff is already covered on the correspondence that we sent, but since you're asking, the honest answer is no, but let me just clarify, they're not on 2 12-hour shifts. They're on 3 12-hour shifts. That means they're on 3 days 1 week, 4 days the other. So it's actually the same exact equal distribution of the officers, and that's based on calls of service. And so every month in the police commission meeting, we send out what they have as far as calls in each district broken down. And so if all of a sudden there was a great need to do that, we could make adjustments. But the the staffing is currently adequate for what we're seeing on an annual basis. We have no problem doing directed patrol activities or what's called special assignment, like if we were to do things for a weekend or things like that. But the way the staffing is right now is adequate for the geographic area that D3, District 3 HANA represents.
Okay, Chief, so if two officers are going out into Kipahulu and Kaupo, how many does that leave? Two back in Hana Town to answer any of the calls that we have from our residents?
So it could leave one plus a supervisor, but then if there's something critical that happens, they can always call the other officers out, depending on if it's critical or not.
Okay, so those officers that are off their shift will also have a radio in case the other officers need help?
No, if it's critical, they can call their phone and see if they could respond. I mean, we're talking critical. I'm talking a shooting. If it's a loud music, we're going to get to it as it comes. I mean, that's just the way it is. And that's just the staffing. It's just the nature of it.
Got it. Okay, yeah, we did have a shooting. Okay, thanks, Sheriff.
Okay, very good. Next, I'm going to switch this out. So Member Paulton has police as part of your department. So I'm going to start with you, if you don't mind. And then we'll go to Member Johnson, Member Rollins Fernandez, Member Cook, Member Hodgins, and then Member Kama and Shirley.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chief Pelletier. I wanted to know, I saw it in your presentation, but what happens in the hiring process when applicants don't progress beyond one of those benchmarks? Like, you know, if they got their picture in the Maui News, like as part of a recruit class, and they didn't make their 6-month probation or something like that, what happens?
So, great question. Any number of reasons could be why they could resign. They could have failed out of field training, and then they're no longer an employee. So they're no longer there at that point.
If it's something like, you know, physical fitness test, physical exam, or something like that, is there opportunity to offer them other positions?
Yes. So depending on what it is, their ability, if they, let's just say, physical fitness test or something like that. If that were to happen, we could offer them like a PSA, public safety aid. That might be an option. Dispatch might be an option. If somebody from dispatch fails out, we might offer them a position in records, depending on what works for them and what they want to do. One of the things that is really deceptive with the numbers, and I brought numbers today, and I know I'm going to run out of time on the answer, so if people will indulge me, but I brought you hard numbers, because nobody's told this tale yet. By the end of this year, we're going to be completely full of police officer 2 positions. Let me say that again. We're going to be completely full. So when we're talking about the vacancy, the issue isn't the Maui Police Department. The issue is we're moving faster than DPS and the rest of the system can keep up. I don't have any more positions. To fill people if I don't have vacancies. I have to promote for PO3s, for sergeants and lieutenants. So we're still building the tests for sergeant and lieutenants, but it's taking me 6 months once I'm asked to do that. It shouldn't take me 6 months to build a test. So of the vacancies, the 100 vacancies that we have, 30 of those are PO2s. So when I hire PO1s, which I can because of the vacancies, but then after the time frame, they go to PO2s. And then I don't have the ability to fill them unless I promote. So we're currently promoting, but we're now at a position where I have to funnel up.
Can you provide us with the hierarchy, like if you have a sergeant or a detective, like what is, like police officer 1 is what, 6 months after they pass probation, then they become a police officer 2. Can you provide us in writing with the hierarchy of like
I'll give you this form if you'd like. And this is, but I'm going to have to black out the names of the officers that are here. But I think it's extremely, here's the interesting thing. I have 31 vacancies for PO2 by the end of this year, right now, with the people we've already hired. But I still have 18 in the pipeline. I only have 3 vacancies that are available for PO2. So I'm going to bust it. But then I have 7 PO3s in patrol, and I've got 29 PO3s throughout the department. So quality assurance, core, vice, those things, 29, 30 sergeant vacancies, 8 lieutenant vacancies, and 2 captain vacancies.
So what is the hierarchy of that from PO1?
So PO1, PO2, detective and sergeant is the PO1, PO2, PO3. Detective and sergeant is the same depending if they're supervising a squad or they're a detective. It's just the way we do it. And then it's lieutenant, then it's captain, assistant chief, deputy chief, and myself.
I heard the buzzer. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So Chief, you're going to clean up that form or whatever, you're going to submit it to us?
Yeah, I'll redact the names and I'll send it to you.
Okay. So staff will get a copy of it. Okay, can ask them. All right, so next we're going to go to Member Johnson. Sorry.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you all for joining us today. Really appreciate it. I know you're super busy, so I'll try to keep my questions succinct. And at this time, I only have one. We'll see where this goes. So in your equipment, portable radios for vehicles, replacing portable radios for half of the department.
Right.
Why are you replacing only half of the portable radios?
You know, I really think we should do all of them. I think we were trying to be somewhat fiscally responsible, but the more we looked at this, the fire department's probably going to be asking this next year for themselves. Bottom line is we really should do all of them. So that number would double from the 2 million to the 4, but we're going to need it. So I think there was a appetite to be somewhat fiscally responsible, but it's pay now or pay later. I do think we should be really looking to do all of them.
Well, so, I mean, for me as a guy who's looking outside, that's a big chunk of change for portable radios. When you said one is 7,000?
7,500. They're currently 5,000.
Why, explain that. Why are they so good? Why do you want them so bad?
This is $1,500, and that's just a phone. And I'm not being a jerk when I'm saying this. I'm like, but that's the price of this. It's $1,500 for a brand new one. This is $7,500, and it goes through the different zones. It can be encrypted. It can have the GPS. The sergeant can see where his troops are. Now can connect to Wi-Fi. It can connect to cellular. It didn't fail in the fire. And unfortunately, that's just the price that it is. There's no way around that.
That point you make about it not failing in the fire, that's a very important point when you look at the cost analysis. Like, that's something that is, immeasurable in many ways.
Yes, sir.
You think that, okay, so half of your department gets them. The other half, if we have a fire, would you consider them to be at risk?
I definitely consider it. So the half would equip everybody that would be in patrol, but the problem is that's not everybody. So I do think we would have a 1 year of a gap, and I don't like that.
Yeah.
I really don't. So, if that's something that the council would consider, I would humbly request that perhaps we look to get all of them, and it would simply double that number.
Okay.
I think it's 2,070,000, so it'd be 4.14.
Public math. Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Chief. Those are my questions.
Thank you, sir.
Chair.
That was fast. Very good. Member Rollins-Fernandez, followed by Member Cook and Hodgins.
Mahalo, Chair.
Yes.
Aloha, Department. Mahalo for being with us. Mahalo, Chief, for the presentation, opening remarks. I will dovetail off of Member Johnson's questions regarding the public radios, portable radios. And so in your opening remarks, you mentioned that this current model is like an iPhone 8, right, and it's being phased out. If only half is replaced, like how, I guess I don't understand, like how does the other half, so the new radios, oh no, they would be replaced next year. So I guess I don't understand how it would work if half are one model and half are the other. Like,
We would buy the same. We would buy the same. But yeah, that is a problem. It's like having an NFL team with one's got Nike as a uniform, and then the other one's got Reebok because we're doing Reebok next year, right? I mean, it's a problem because it's not the exact. It'll work on the radio, but the problem is they're not going to support it. It won't update like the other ones. It's not going to have the same functionality, and so we do know that we need to get that. In an effort to be fiscally responsible, we try to do that. But your question is right to the heart of it. It's pay now or pay later. I would rather not pay later. Like again, if you're going to be willing, I do think that's a reasonable request.
Follow up on that. So you talked about how the phones are like $1,500. Oftentimes, the older models, over time, when they bring in a new model, become, like 800 or they start having deals on them because they're, heavily discounted because they're the older model. And then the newer model become the $1,500 or more cost. So if, as Member Johnson stated, if we were to wait until next year to replace the other half of the radios, do you anticipate them being more than what we're paying this year?
It could be possible. So it's totally possible. Just like every year these go up. Every year they go. It doesn't get cheaper, and so I think that's a risk. So yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Good morning, council members. Good morning, Chair, Deputy Chief here. So to reinforce what the chief is trying to say, because of the radios are being, we're only asking for half, so we're asking for the patrol function to be have these new radios, and they'll be the fully functioning Motorola radios with the upgrades. The specialized units will not have that. So they'll still be on the same bandwidth. However, if they responded like they did to the fires, we will know where our patrolmen are, but our investigative services guys, we won't know where they are. That's the difference. And yes, we're going to eventually need all of our people outfitted, of course, but our patrol function is our top priority. So of course they'll be outfitted first. Thank you.
Mahalo, Deputy Chief. Mahalo, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Member Cook, Member Hodgins next.
Thank you, Chair. My question is for Chief Pelletier. The police department's budget's approved by the police commission. Did the mayor's proposed budget incorporate the entire budget that was approved by the commission? If no, what was the difference and how does that impact the department?
Great question. I do appreciate it. In the packet we sent, there's a complete breakdown that you'll have of everything that was changed. And I understand people are fiscally responsible, and sometimes I get it. And there's not, we can't get everything sometimes. However, some things that are here, I'd like to at least point out, if I may. We asked for a new fingerprint station for a second examiner for the forensic facility. So right now you only have one person that can do that. So imagine if we want to have two people looking at two different fingerprints. We don't have that capability, or depending on how busy that gets. So that was taken out. Some office furniture that is desperately needed for investigators was taken out. This one really, I think, is big, and I'd like to say why, and I think that Councilmember Polton it'll resonate with her more than I think anybody else here, although everybody's going to understand it. And it's actually, Chair Sugimura, I think it'll resonate with you when I say this other part on this. We need an armor rescue vehicle on the west side because we have one way in and one way out. And there's it's been around for a little bit. We don't currently have this particular one. It's by Teradyne. It is IED proof on the bottom of the shell of this. That's why it'll resonate with upcountry, because we saw IEDs. And if we need to drive a vehicle up and have our bomb techs come out, and God forbid that thing goes up, I need to protect them. And so this vehicle will break into houses that are on fire. This will smash through certain things. But for the room, and I'm going to get a little tactical and a little Gucci on some tactics here, so just indulge me for a quick second. The proper hostage barricade situation is 360 degrees of containment. And so if you have a house and you've got one piece of armor at 6 o'clock, I don't have 360 containment. But if I put a second piece at 12 o'clock, now I've got 360 containment. And if we have something bad happens and we're doing an after action, one of the questions that's going to come up is, did you have 360 containment? Right now, we don't have the capability to do that because we've got one piece of armor, and it's in South Maui. West Maui saw the need to do it. And so I would like to get that other piece of armor, and I'd like to house it on West Maui. That was cut. It's about $350,000. It's on the sheet that you've got in your mailbox. But that's significant. And if I don't know if I have to stop talking or you can indulge me, but there's a couple other things I'd really like to highlight. There's a $56,000 for a Mediburn incinerator. That's to destroy narcotics like ice and cocaine. So kind of like to do that. Seized firearm shredding equipment. Right now, I've got a couple people that are beating guns with hammers. That's wrong. For $100,000, we can get a actual firearm shredder. Something that really needs to happen. There was a reduction of body armor by $15,000. I have a problem with that. I think we should be paying for body armor for our cops. There's some network expansions at Haleakala with the radio system. It's all on here, but I'm just highlighting for you. There's a full-size van for CORE because CORE really needs to transport sometimes a multiple, with the MMEU, different things, but there's a van. They could really use that. So these are there. The rest of them are listed. There's some things with some of the pay, but at least you can see these ticket items because I really, with the IEDs, I could see this armored vehicle. We just keep kicking that can down the road, but we had them. I still can't even believe we had them. And I'd like to just share this. The first guy got convicted by the federal system. Thankfully, he's got 24 months, which means in 18 months, he's back out. What do you think he's going to do? So I'd like to have that piece of equipment in 18 months. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Next, Member Uhajans, followed by Member Kama, then Lee.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you guys for being with us today. I will also tell you, Chair, though, I have a family meeting I need to attend in a little bit. So I'm going to be excusing myself. I know Corp Counsel is afterwards, but I did have the opportunity to email them my questions and they responded, and then she basically said on the floor. Before I begin, I would like to honestly, publicly thank you for talking to my son when there was that car accident in front of Paia School. I want to commend you on how reachable you were for not just me, but for my son. If you guys don't remember, there was a fatal accident in front of Paia School. It was a Wednesday, so school was let out early, like today, and the body was still there. And as you can imagine, my now 7-year-old had a bunch of unanswered questions, so it meant a lot. Also, I did read the police commission's letter to us, and yesterday we asked for boards and commissions. I wasn't going to say anything because it wasn't a clarifying question, but hopefully they're going to be housed at the Hagai Institute so they can have their own space, because I don't think Liquor Department's IT is going to be able to accommodate them and everybody else that they have been accommodating. But my question really, I read your guys' answers, is how, I've asked you this before and you basically told me, I cannot really tell you, but I did ask you, how do you get rid of all of the narcotics and all of the weed? You can't just like burn it. So what happens? So how much does that thing that you just mentioned to incinerate the narcotics, how much does that cost? $56,000. Okay. And then how does a firearm shredder work? So what do you mean they beat them with hammers? Like, is that how they're rendering them useless? Like a sledgehammer?
I'm sorry to say that that's all that they have is some hammers, and you can take a gun apart. It's not, it breaks down, and then you take the broken down parts and you smash them, but that's not really appropriate. It's actually really wrong, and when it came to our attention, we were like, find us something. And so Kat Pashal, who oversees records, she's amazing. She's like, here's the most effective way we could do it. It's actually manufactured to do that, and you put the pieces in there, and it rips the metal apart to where it can't be functionable again, because the last thing you want is a firearm that's been taken to be functionable again.
Can you recycle the metal?
I think there's a way to do some of it. Some of it you can't because of the lead and things like that and some handling. So I do believe that there's a part of it that does happen.
Okay. And then how do we, going back to my first question, how do we now remove and get rid of the drugs? Like, what do we do now if we don't have this incinerator?
There is some incinerators in the state, and they're removed that way.
So we have to ship them someplace else?
Sometimes, and sometimes it's done here, depending on the size and scope, but I can't tell you where those are. And
I really want to make a joke about us moving drugs
you actually
throughout the state right now.
Other states, entire tactical teams of like 50 people move this stuff. It's like in the movies. And so there's a lot of OPSEC that goes in with that. It would not be appropriate in this setting.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, don't answer it, because I'm basically envisioning like Con Air or something.
Well, that's why we're not talking. People do crazy stuff.
Thanks. Thanks, Jim.
Oh, you're good? Okay, very good. And we'll expect you to leave. Thank you very much. Yeah. Next we have Member Kama and then Shirley.
Thank you, Chair. So thank you for being here again, Chief. It's always nice to see you. So I'm hoping that today is even going to be more productive than our usual conversations. But I want to talk to you this morning about your core program. And I have 3 questions. You can either answer them or you can do it in writing. It doesn't matter to me. But I love your core program. I've been on many rides with them. Some of them were utterly disgusting. Some of them were pretty jovial. Some were pretty funny. But all in all, the work was very hard and difficult for me to go through some of the things that they went through on my ride-alongs. And thank you for approving the ride-along, because now I can ride along whenever I call. They'll say, well, I say, well, Chief said it was okay. Although he only said once it was okay, I assumed that it was okay as long as we're here. But, so here's my question. Given the current workload and the increasing scope of responsibilities that the core unit is managing, how would that addition of another officer improve the department's ability to meet community needs and expand current programs? That's one. Second one, because I'm going to run out of time. What specific challenges or areas of the core unit's work are currently being underserved due to limitations in necessary equipment, and how would the addition of a 4x4 vehicle help address these gaps? Third question, how does the Corps' unit effectiveness in addressing community needs reflect on the overall performance of the Maui Police Department, and how could an increase in personnel further enhance the department's mission of improving public safety and community health? 3 questions.
I am very grateful for the question. I really do appreciate it. I'm going to answer that in 1 second. I just need to at least recognize that it was very gracious. Reference the last council member to say what she did about her son, and that's what we all want to do, is make sure that our children are protected and answered. So thank you for this. If you like the ride-alongs, we could do this a few ways. You can raise your right hand, repeat after me, and I'll swear you in, and we'll just get you on board. So you let me know if we want to go that route. But, and that goes for everybody here. I think the best way that you guys can see the department is to see it, and I know that Chair Sugimura is a huge advocate of the dispatchers, and she's in there quite often. And so I know, because she sees it, she's so passionate, and you see it with the Corps. So we are actually one of those PO3 expansion positions that I just told you. We're in the process of promoting for that person. The test process is going, and we should have we should have one more later this month. I think May 1st is the anticipated date on that, if I'm not mistaken. I think May 1st. So we'll have a new person in there May 1. The 4x4 vehicle and the van would greatly help because they do go into areas that are not easily accessible.
Yes.
And so you've seen those areas, and so it would be
I have.
huge. And we bring the resources and the service providers out there. So it's a no-brainer. Absolutely do need that. And then I know I have a written correspondence here, and so I'll give that to Leslie, so the
Okay.
director, and so she could get that to you.
Okay.
So that you can have a much more in-depth answer on
Okay.
that.
Thank
Fair?
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I heard the buzzer, Chair.
Yeah.
Wow.
So thank
Like a
you.
game show.
Yeah.
Next, we have Chair Lee.
Hi, Chief. I have the question regarding the fire in 2023, August 8th. With summer weather approaching and the potential for fires, how are we more prepared today than we were almost 2 years ago? Especially with regard to communication and coordination.
You know, Chair, I have to say, and I'll answer that, but I do need to mention that your leadership, not just during the fires, but since, has been exemplary, and we're better as a community for it. So mahalo for you for that. One of the things that we did last year, Chief Ventura and I, and our leadership team and the deputies been a big part of this, is we felt a need. We identified it in our after action. They identified it, but we felt that command and control, because if it starts at certain levels, really gets that connectivity, that unified command. And so we have built together a command and control class so that we have connectivity at the basic level on a scene with the fire department leadership, so like your captain level, your battalion chief, and that would be equivalent to about our sergeant, lieutenant, maybe captain level. And so we will be co-teaching this year a class, meaning fire and police. So think about that. Fire and police will be co-teaching to each other on unified command. So,
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chief.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chief. I get it. So I'm really happy that there's been this vast improvement and preparation for, potential disasters. Have you ever, and then I really like the idea of your buying updated radios and so forth. What about the possibility of buying a satellite? Because, our rural areas are still at risk.
we're buying Starlinks. Yeah, we have that in the process, in the pipeline, just for that very reason.
Okay. All right, because, don't be afraid to try. Take a leap. You'll be surprised how much this council will support you, because we believe in innovation and not, just small little steps and continuing to put our community at risk. So just think boldly and believe me, we'll be there for you. Thank you, Chief, for your work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I just have, and you already brought up what I'm going to ask about, because you know me so well, 911 dispatchers. So before you answer, yesterday we had personnel here. And thanks to Michelle Yoshimura from my office, after the meeting ended, we had a discussion about how can we do this. Immediate answer, right, from personnel was change the bargaining unit. That didn't work. You and I both know that. But that is what personnel thought. But we had a really good meeting after the regular meeting about how to do this. So if you could check with personnel, check with Michelle Yoshimura, and they kind of walk through steps of how to do this, because I really want to help the 911 dispatchers. This year, again, in my priority, as the members all know, I'm going to be putting in some extra funding so that it will be retention until we can solve this. And members, the reason why I won't give this up is that we're not helping the dispatchers in terms of their retirement, right? We can give them $1,000 a month or whatever it is that we can, but it doesn't help them for their future and for their family in a long-term way. So I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep on bugging you, and I was really glad to hear from the director of personnel as she, with her layers, I always call it layers of information on how to think through this. There may be something that we can talk through. So that was going to be my question, but I kind of answered it myself. You want to say something?
Well, I appreciate the continued support on that, and I think Michelle is gold, and she doesn't stop, and she continues to fight. But one of the things the deputy and I, because, you know, we sit here and we roundtable this thing, and it's beyond frustrating to me that people are okay calling first responders, because that's what they are, clerks, because that's what they're not. And it's wrong, and it needs to end. So we're thinking, and this is kind of flipping the script, the deputies, is actually deputies' ideas, see if we can't force them to do a supplemental, which is a supplemental agreement on top of their collective bargaining agreement, and just see if they'll honor that, and just see if, hey, we want to pay this wage, and make it where it's pensionable, and then make the union the bad guy, perhaps, if they say no. You know, why not? I mean, you know, when Shirley talks about going bold, she's speaking my language. You know, I asked everybody to prom last year if I wasn't married. I think I'd be asking her to marry me with the way she was talking with the go bold, because for 3.5 years, I've been trying to make as much of a splash as we can. But no, we have to go bold. And I like your idea, and I think that a supplemental might be a good bold splash. But we really need some legislation to really classify them so that they can get compensated for what they are. But we will not stop fighting, and I appreciate your support.
Okay. You know your list that you were talking about in terms of priorities that was on the budget? Oh, here it is already. Okay. So I don't quite understand this, but I'm sure you can explain this to me later. You passed out what you were going to give to tomorrow. And then from the budget, you're going through individual things that were not included. Can you share that with us also?
It's already sent. You guys already have this, so I know that it's the weird thing that, it's with, I have to, you send it to me, and then I send it to them, but I can't give it to you till they give it to you. So they've got it to give to you.
You'll have it today.
Yes.
I'm not sure if we know what that means. But before I go to the next round, members, I just want to say, Chief, that I hope your family is fine, and that's all I want to say. I love your wife.
Thank you.
She's very nice in comparison to you, but just kidding, because I know her from Seabury Hall. Just kidding. And
There's 9 of you.
Huh? What? And your twins, really amazing kids. I just want to say our mahalo to them.
Thank you.
Yeah. Member Cook.
Thank you, Chair. Can you start with your second round?
Oh, you're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, wait. You're reading my system, because tomorrow is supposed to start first, right? And then Member Johnson, Member Rollins Fernandez, then Cook. What I'm trying to do is take the second, the committee chair who has MPD, and to start off there, because she must have come up with more questions, and Member Senensi, Kama Lee, and then myself. So you go wait. Okay, Member Paulton.
Thanks. You know, in the Unified Command, I was wondering if you could briefly describe for us the evacuation, how it gets enacted, and for the various, like, one size evacuation doesn't fit all. We got people like MEO paratransit riders, which was one of the significant deaths in the 2023 fire. We got elderly, we got disabled, we got people without vehicles. And so I was wondering, in the Unified Command of evacuating, like, who calls for it? How is it communicated? Who, and the various levels, like, you know, people that can't evacuate on their own. Do you support like a medical needs registry so that we know like people that are gonna need assistance? And if you can describe that for us, either now or in writing is fine.
How about I'll give some of it now, and then if you need more, we can always do more. But I think the more unified we are as a command group, the better we're going to be. And let's remember this, is incident command is actually in the incident. It's actually in the field. And so downstairs, that's not incident command. Incident command is out there. And so as you have incident command and you've got that group there and you're unified, that discussion should be happening, and the ability to say we need to evacuate this area, this area, this area, and make those a priority. I think there's not enough that we can do. I think there can't be enough notifications. So whether it's cell phones, whether it's reverse 911s, whether it's sirens, whatever is there. I also know that the county has purchased I want to say planning has some software that they're going to be putting in there, that you're going to have some alert systems that way. Those different things, because they're not all the same. They're not all the same. And if we prepare for a fire and it's a tsunami, then we screwed up.
So is it incident command that calls for the
So the incident commander who's in the field, they're the ones that should be making those immediate calls.
And then they are calling to NEMA.
They may be. It also depends on, it depends. It's like the earlier comment that I said is I can't, it's not going to fit everything. And no answer I'm going to give you right now is going to be plug and play. But it's going to depend. But if we do not give the incident commander the ability to run the incident, we are failing them. And they have to be able to do it.
And like from my experience when I had that training, it was the first officer on the scene is the incident commander until the next higher up person arrives.
Well, then you are spot on and you remember correctly. So the first is, and then eventually it's the most competent, capable person that's actually at the incident. So depending on what, it might not be the highest ranking, and you really shouldn't have the head of an agency necessarily, but you have like whatever that, whether it's a lieutenant, captain, or battalion chief.
And if there's fire and police there, how do they determine?
So depending on what it is, so if it's a barricade, let's just say it's a hostage rescue, then it's a police-led, and so the incident commander would be police. If it's a fire, it's fire-led, and so the incident commander, they'll establish unified command, is what it would be called, unified command, and the incident commander will be fire, and then police will be in the unified command, but they'll be subordinate, they'll be secondary to fire's needs. They'll be actively fighting the fire, and then police might be doing the evacs, let's say, or blocking the roads and doing what we can in our support function.
Okay, I might just ask that in writing so that we can get more comprehensive answer as well.
Yeah, and I don't know that any writing I'm going to give you is going to solve it all, and that'd probably be what I'm going to say. It might be, and I might be just giving you some manuals and some different things because I'm not going to rewrite ICS.
And then the Starlinks you were talking about, those were Starlink cell phones?
The satellite boosters. Yeah.
We ordered 8 of them. We're ordering 8 of them already.
There was something in there that was like 2 Starlink cell phones, or was that fire maybe? It's not the T-Mobile.
Oh, yeah, can you speak in the mic, because otherwise...
Sorry. Yeah, so back when we had the fires, we actually had the use of, I think, only one or two Starlinks. So that was one of the things we identified, that in case communications go down, there was no cell service. So we in our fiscal year 25, we already ordered 8 additional Starlinks, and then we have additional things in our budget to order more. Yes, and it's a pack, and it radios up to the satellite and it projects from there. So
thank you.
Thank you very much. So you do not want us to send that to you in writing, Chief?
You can send it to me. I just don't know that I'll give you the Starlink one or the ICS one?
The ICS one.
The ICS one, and then also the part about the medical needs registry, like, if the incident commander calls for evacuation and then it goes to where to press the button, if there's going to be sirens and so on and so forth. And if you are in support of a medical needs registry, like to...
I'm in support of that. I'm in support of anything and everything we can to protect our people, period.
Because 2 fires now, we never evacuate Hale Maha Olue Ono until, after the fact.
Can I answer that? Okay, so one of the criticisms that the police and fire had was there was no unified command during the incident. So Chief Pelletier, along with Chief Brad Ventura, they came together, and it always existed. During that fire, it was a little bit chaotic, so there was no preset unified command, but now we set into protocols that in any major event, especially at a fire, police and fire will get together immediately, set up a command incident, and determine whether there needs to be evacuations. So fire will determine the evacuation based on the wind and the proximity to housing and depending what the area is. And we will be in charge of doing the actual evacuation. In the meantime, MEMA is notified and MEMA sends out messages as well. Now, do we have a registry right now for people that are disabled? No, but I think ultimately part of the plan is to get those people registered and get those people have a priority extraction with them. If we get the second rescue vehicle, that would be the use of that vehicle to help extract these people, especially if there's debris on the road.
So thank you for that. I guess in writing, if you know the roles as you guys see it of each agency, and then if we ask, you know, the three agencies, fire, police, and MEMA, if everybody agrees what each person's role is, like if we ask you what is fire, police, and MEMA's role, we ask fire, we ask MEMA. I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page on what they think each other's roles are and what they think their own roles are because of August 8th.
Okay, so we'll send that question then. Thank you.
Yeah, but let me just really quick. I will give what I think there may be, but I'm at the same time, that's my opinion. For what it's worth.
Yeah, exactly. So I would like to know what everybody thinks everybody's roles are and what they think their own roles are, just so that we know where each agency is coming from and try to get on the same page.
Okay. Next, Member Johnson, then Member Ramos-Fernandez.
Thank you, Chair. My questions have been answered.
Wow. Okay. Member Ramos-Fernandez.
Mahalo, Chair. Also noting the time, 11:44. I have one set of questions, and this is regarding Molokai. So our Molokai officers have been desperately pleading or asking us for to relocate them from the old station, which they were supposed to be relocated when the around the same time that fire was relocated, the Kaunakakai station. And we know that it floods during storms. The council did do a site visit, I think in 2019. But that site to relocate wasn't supported by the community for safety reasons. Do you have any updates on the relocation of the police station? I understand that there have been some progress made.
Really do appreciate the question. Thank you so much. So Molokai has been ignored for a very long time, and it is in a flood zone. And I've been there when it's flooded. And just so that the whole room understands this is, you have officers trying to get guns out of the armory, evidence out of the evidence vault to preserve cases. That's completely unacceptable. It cannot happen. So General Logan, who just became the adjutant general, myself, we just were over there last week. We had contracted, because the council had approved us to have $500,000 for plans for this. We had them over there, and we looked at the armory that's actually above the flood zone, just below the hospital. And we can do the similar lease that they do with HPD. So we will pay basically like $1 a year for the land, which is nothing. We're not paying for the land. And for $15 million, we can have between 20 and 25 years a new station that will give a Band-Aid until a permanent station is then located and built. And then for that amount of money, the community can then repurpose that with the National Guard and the Armory as they see fit at that time frame. But for about 4.5 to 5 to get us started in the upcoming fiscal, we could actually begin this, and we could have a new station in 2 years to where we don't have that problem. And that would be huge, because the ability to get that problem fixed and alleviated is tremendous. And so that numbers, they just came out within the last, I think even yesterday, there were some updated numbers. But that number, the 15 million is actually it's 13 because there's a 2 million contingency in there. But nowhere else are you going to get land for free. Nowhere else are you going to have integrated. And then you want to talk about the last question with unified command. The design will actually have the unified command post in the armory, which will be shared with the military. So it'll be exceptional.
Mahalo, Chief, for those details. I plan to add that to the budget as one of my priorities. Mahalo, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for waiting, Member Cook.
Thank you, Chair. I have 3 questions, but they're all integrated. It shouldn't even take you very long. So, one, and put AI isn't a question, but it's sort of like an aspect, something that I'm asking you and the other departments, how much you're utilizing that as a tool. But neighborhood crime watch programs, how many programs are currently active? Is there a decrease in crime in these neighborhoods? Do the programs have an impact on the department's operations? So it's just a facet of this question. And the next one is enforcement of derelict vehicles in the public right-of-way. Will MPD tag a derelict vehicle if it's found that it is being lived in? What county code is used for tagging derelict vehicles? And what can a vehicle be and when can a vehicle be re-tagged if it's moved?
Really appreciate the question. I'm going to do the AI. The other ones are in writing, already submitted. So in the interest of time, we won't get into that. So AI technology and innovation, like Chair Lee said, cannot be emphasized enough. It's actually one of the pillars of 21st century policing. It's one of the 6 pillars, right? So we want to be looking at different technologies. One of the things that got cut from the feds with the new budget deal with the new administration and the way they kind of all did this, and we all know what I'm talking about, is they cut our $2.5 million for a real-time ops center. So that's a problem because we've been borrowing some cameras for a little bit. The check's going to come due and they're going to pull some of these cameras, but some of the things that we've solved, and you've heard me mention one of those things when I said IED, you understand? Some of those things, we've used that technology for that. Because of that vacuum, we now don't have that, and we are planning on getting that. So we may never get that from the federal government. And so we really could use some of these cameras. They're LPR AI cameras. It's through a project called Aware. You can actually put them at the mountains and they can see anomaly like smoke. They can detect it. And just so you know, violent crime has been gone for the last 3 years that we've been tracking it. It's been going down, and the list of the neighborhood programs are in the response, so I won't belabor that fact. But we saw last year a 6% reduction in violent crime for the entire county, which is a huge win. Anything reducing violent crime is a win. And so that's the measurable, and that really does matter. So I don't want to keep talking if I don't.
So what's the ask on the AI?
$650,000.
Okay, are you done? Or? You are. Member Cook, any more?
I'm done, and I'm
you're
grateful.
done?
Thank you all very much.
Okay, very good. Member Senensi, thanks for being patient.
Yeah, mahalo, Chair. Chief, we all know that our housing inventory in East Maui is scathing. So we did put some money for repairs for the police cottages in Ana. Is there an update on that? If you're renovating or repairing those, have you used those funds from last year?
So we're in the process of renovating them. It is a priority. One of the things that Councilmember Cook had done last year was the blueprint plan idea, which we really, really, really like. And that's to get approved plans so that we could basically tear them all down and rebuild them. And it would save a lot of time, money, and effort, because I really think we keep putting paint on something that's busted. I think we just need to rip it all down and build it back. But we're in the process of doing the repairs, but at some point we need to have that conversation. And then possibly purchasing another property there might be a really good option to move people as we're tearing these things down and doing it. And I know we've had some of those discussions. We just have to identify the right place that'll meet codes, but it's a definite priority.
Okay, yeah, and then our staff can send you anything that comes up on the market for you guys to consider. Chief, we also, last week I received a couple calls about Homeland Security being in West Maui and South Maui. And I was just curious for the department, are they informing the department of any of their activities with Homeland Security?
So Homeland Security was here on Thursday. They left on Friday. We were notified when they came in on Thursday what they were doing. This administration has established a very good working relationship, not just with our multiple partners in federal agencies, but as well as with Roots Reborn and the immigration community. It's part of why we created MMAC, the Maui PD Multicultural Advisory Council. Just had a meeting with them yesterday. We do not participate with our federal partners in immigration enforcement. We care about individuals that are committing violent crime. We do not care about immigration status. We don't ask that, period. If you're a bad guy doing bad things, then you should be worried. If you happen to be not here properly, well, you shouldn't do bad things. If you are here properly, just don't do bad things. And so, we just ask that you be a law-abiding citizen and pay your fair share and do what I'm trying to hit every political, build it back better, pay your fair share, and let's keep East Maui great. I think that's everybody, right? So.
Yes, I concur. Thanks, Chief.
Okay.
Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. That was good. So I have no questions. And members, because we started at 10 o'clock, our timing of our meeting is a little bit different. So I'm at the very end of round 2. You want another round with police? If we do, it'll be 2 minutes because I'm trying to get Corp Counsel here before it becomes 1 o'clock. And I said we would be done with this meeting.
I'm good.
I'm good.
Okay, so Member Paulton, then Member Rollins Fernandez.
I just had a question on, we hire police officer ones and then everyone else will get promoted to those higher positions. And if we have 8 lieutenant vacancies, 2 captains, and like that, there is a overtime category, and that could be used. I'm wondering why we have the huge amount of vacancies instead of putting the money that we need for overtime into the overtime category, and less vacancies until we get closer to filling them. And then I guess maybe follow up in writing about what is the holdup in creating the recruitments, because it seems those openings like detective or lieutenant or captains would be kind of standard. It's not like we're creating a county archaeologist, which we've never had before.
I don't know that you want me to put that in writing because of my opinion and why I'd say it. I don't think it's going to come off really well, but for 3.5 years, I can't get a part-time investigator approved is ridiculous. We don't have an issue with recruiting as far as the police department. What I was showing you with that number is we've actually broke the system because we've moved so quick. We have a full-time recruiting center at the mall. We have people in that every single day. Our numbers, the DPS can't keep up with the tests. We should take over our own tests.
Are you going to be at the May 15th
We'll have some
shop?
people there. Well, they're actually using our facility. They're actually using the county's using ours because we've got one because we're doing it right. So I say that because we're there to help, but we're also going to do something like May the Force be with you and do something around that weekend. Does
your position descriptions need to go to the managing director?
Well, here's the thing. The person I work for was there earlier. And so I would mention that maybe if you want, just indulge me, maybe allow the police department, you could do fire and liquor, give us 5 years without some of this oversight in DPS. We could have a DPS liaison see how effective we are. If we do a great job, maybe that's a model. If we don't, let's go back to this archaic system that doesn't work. But we don't lose anything. But let's stop doing what's the barrier. It shouldn't take 6 months to get a sergeant test. And so that's part of the problem. It shouldn't take me, just hear me out. I've asked for a civilian recruiting position before I even got the job that I can't get approved. I can't get it approved. So something ain't working.
Who is the entity that's not approving it?
DPS.
I think we might need it in writing, even if it's not flattering, because we can't overcome the blockades if we're not familiar with what they are.
You shall get whatever you need.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. So did you get the question? Maybe you did? Okay. All right, Member Rollins-Fernandez, and then I think we're done with this round.
Mahalo, Chair. Since we're only having the departments before us once, if there are any council member priorities, you mentioned a priority that the members have questions about, I would like for the members to ask any questions. I indicated that my priority would be to add the funding for a Molokai Police Station relocation. So if members have any questions, the department is before us now, and I'd appreciate any of those questions. I don't have any questions regarding your priority, Chair, for dispatchers. Like, I'm supportive of that. But while we have the department before us.
Anybody have any comments or questions regarding
if they have a
Member
priority, if they have a priority for this department, and I think it would be a good practice moving forward, since we only have the departments before us once, that if members have a priority, that they indicate it, at the time the department comes before us, so we can ask any follow-up questions that we may have, so that when we do take up the vote on that, then folks will have, the members will have that information. Mahalo, Chair.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
one of the priorities is what I spoke to Chief about today, about the core program. There one extra expansion position and the truck that, core could use. So those are my priorities.
So members, that's fine. But we are waiting for the second set of questions, which we haven't gotten yet, which I think they might have just gotten because all your questions that were sent to them on
It's submitted as
Tuesday.
well. We finished it.
Oh, you finished your second set from the members.
I wanted to
Wow.
say we're done.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, it is complete. It's just with my office for final review before we transmit it. So you'll have it this
So
afternoon.
it's in hiding yet, soon to come. But, all right, members, anybody else have anything? Okay, so we look forward to the mayor's office transmitting your answers to the individual members' questions. Thank you very much. So thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Chief, and all your staff for being with us. And we're going to do a change out, and we'll ask Corp Counsel to join us. Can we do you want a 5-minute break? We haven't had a break yet, just because we started at 10. Is 5 minutes enough? You want 10? 5? Okay, we'll come back at 12:05. Welcome back to the Budget Finance Economic Development Committee. It is now 12:11. We are we're not at bare quorum, but we're getting there. Member Cook, you left. Or you're gonna leave at 12:30. Member Johnson is leaving already. He has to go get his car out of the shop so he can go to Hana. And he said he has no questions for Corp Counsel, so that's good. Are we at bare quorum? We are, yeah? We are at bare quorum. Chair Lee didn't come back, so one, two, three, four. You're here, okay. We're at bare quorum though, yeah? We're at 6, okay. All right, so we have until 1 o'clock. I hope we can keep that time schedule. So we have before us Corp Counsel, and as you know, their Granicus items are number 11 and County Communication 2, and we are ready. So, we're going to get, okay, so you answered all the questions. Very good. All right, so for Corp Counsel, Member U Hodgins has left. Member Sinensi is online. Then Member Kama. Chair Lee has left, I guess. Member Paulton is there. Member Johnson has left. Rollins Fernandez, and then, yeah, good. And then Member Cook, you're leaving, right? You have to leave at 12:30 or something? No. Okay. All right. So let's start. Member Sinensi, 3 minutes for Corp Counsel.
Thank you, Chair. We didn't prepare any questions for Corporation Counsel, so I'll defer to the other council members who did send in their questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Member Kama.
No questions for Corp Counsel.
Member Paulton.
Thank you, Chair. What positions does the supervising law tech oversee?
The supervising law tech oversees the law tech 1s and 1 law tech 2.
And if there's no test for legal clerical positions, how is an eligible list created?
Thank you, Member Paulton. The eligibles list is based on, DPS has some type of ranking, so they look at people's applications and then they create a ranking, and that's how they give it a percentage. I'm not really sure how that works, but.
Okay. Was the fiscal year 24 carryover $342,034?
For our department? Leslie, do you have that?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Councilmember Paulton. Let me double check the aquifer and I'll get back to you.
Okay. And then for the internship law clerks, if you could explain that, it shows 2 are unfunded, 2 are funded, but only at 0.3 EP. And it says like summer. If that could just be explained, because I don't understand.
Thank you, Member Paulton. So we do have 4 positions. 2 1.0s are unfunded, and we have 2, the 0.3 are our summer interns. So we bring them in for 6 weeks. The unfunded ones are for law school graduates pending their passing of their bar. We're able to bring them in those unfunded positions because we have a vacancy for a deputy, if we have a vacancy. And the plan is for them to pass the bar and then move into the vacant deputy position. So it's really funded from the vacant deputy position.
And then the deputy corp counsel position that not that one. The supervising law technician that was available since July 2024, so it's been vacant for almost the whole fiscal year.
Yes.
And then the 343 position number 34321, workers compensation specialist 1, I had a different position description in the budget details. Is that the same one that begins with P00? Okay, I heard the bell come around again.
Thank you. Member Rollins Fernandez, followed by Member Cook.
Mahalo, Chair.
Followed by Member Cook.
Mahalo, Chair. On your expansion position, I see equipment for 45,000, page 126. Are you trying to find your own thunder with this equipment?
That is for the vehicle for the investigator. So our
Process from Public Works Highways, but that's where it is right now.
Mahalo. To dispose of the old vehicle.
Yeah, I believe they will dispose of it, but purchasing of the new one, they already have an RFP out for another department, so we were kind of jump on that with them to see.
No, yeah, I was just wondering about the
disposal. I'm
yes.
sorry.
It's okay.
It's through Public Works Highways, so I'm not 100% sure how it works.
Okay, awesome. Mahalo. Mahalo, Chair. That's all.
That's it. Member Cook.
Thank you. So discussing vacant positions, what would be the department's, Corp Council's hope and recommendation for personnel services to make it easier for you to accomplish the goal of getting new employees?
I heard MPD talking about having their own internal recruitment. That would be awesome. It's just very cumbersome, and I don't want to throw shade on DPS. I'm sure they have their challenges, but it is extremely difficult. When council approves a position and it takes almost a year for personnel to actually approve the position description, is very frustrating, especially when something like work comp specialist, where we have a real need for people who need to get reimbursed. But short of having our own internal recruitment, I don't know whether it's doing away with MQs, as was also suggested yesterday. I heard about talking about core, core competencies, right? Because we know we have qualified people applying, but they don't meet the MQs, and we're kind of really shocked sometimes about that. But it's a big fix.
So to follow up on that, since you're Corporation Counsel and you look out for the County of Maui's legal liability and giving us guidance on what you can legally do and what we should avoid, how does it go as far as personnel services and the rules? Is that something beyond who has the magic wand, who could modify what you've told us has been repeated by almost every single department? If we could interview the people, it would simplify things. So from a legal perspective, do you have any guidance?
Well, I will say that the civil service is regulated by the HRS, which is state statutes. Our DPS, director and assistant director, the director answers to the Civil Service Commission. So there is no one person that can wave a magic wand and make this all better. I think it's a cumbersome system. So I'd have to look into how legally we can do anything about it.
So is it basically a state legislative modification?
I think so. And even in terms of like bargaining with unions, we want to give our people money, but the other counties might not, for whatever reason. Maybe they don't have the money or whatever. But, then our union members have to, suffer. So, yeah, I think that's a legislative fix.
Thank you. If you find a workaround, would be supportive. I would be supportive. I can only speak for myself. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So I have no questions, and I'm going to be watching, I guess. Oh, I have a cute story about your car. So I sat next to yeah, this car that they want to replace. And so I sat next to Corp Counsel going to the opening of the legislature, and she told me this car. She said, it's so bust up, there's a bird dropping on it. I said, that's all I need. They cannot even run it. That was her cute story. But I have no questions, but I remember that story. And about your dedicated staff, I really appreciate that. And about Lydia, I just want to say when I remember her from Maui Land and Pine, and she was doing the same thing in terms of watching, employee and work comp and all of that. And she was doing it for that whole Maui Pineapple Company. And here you are sitting in the same kind of responsibility that I just want to say thank you. So members, round 3, anybody have questions? Member Paulton, 2 minutes.
Oh, I think this is round 2, but
Oh, round 2. Sorry.
my question is for in your response P00502 Deputy Corp Counsel, is that the same as position ID 33630? And then so it was an expansion position in the FY25 budget, which was filled with 3 months left to go in the fiscal year 25. And so the 2 other Deputy Corp Counsel positions are requesting 8 months funding, but for last Deputy Corp Counsel, you only were able to utilize 3 months. So I just was wondering what makes you guys so optimistic that you would utilize 8 months funding this fiscal year?
Just given the nature of how many applicants we've been receiving or applications we've been receiving lately, I'm pretty comfortable with the fact that we will be able to hire someone. I don't even think we would, I think we probably can do it within a month or 2 of getting, of July 1st. We could probably get somebody, the 2 of them on board by September. So we might even need 10 months of funding. So I think 8 months is conservative. It was slow. We just were so busy in terms of trying to find the right fit for a deputy. It wasn't for lack of applications. So I think we waited. We got someone really who's quality. But I don't have any doubt we'll be able to get somebody on board fairly quickly.
And then you said those vacancies for the Deputy Corp Counsels you're looking to expand. One is for land management and one is for environmental management.
That's correct.
And then the workers' comp specialist, you were only able to post it in February of 2025, so that would have been like 4 months funding. And when does the period close, you said?
I believe it's been continued by DPS till April 15th.
April 15th. So that would be the earliest you could start interviews.
I have asked for a list. Even normally they can provide us names as they receive them and qualify them. So I'm just waiting for that. And my most recent correspondence was this morning asking on the status of the eligibles list.
And then for the investigator 5 position that you expanded, you just hired on November 19th, 2024, but then the next month you lost your other investigator 5 position?
Yes.
And you don't know that they have applicants that have put in for that position?
We have put in a requisition, which starts the process. The department will put in the requisition. They'll go through the tasks of posting it and then receiving applications. So that's where the length of time takes. But
so it wasn't posted when it was vacated on the first?
No, not immediately, because we had our new investigator.
So the person retired, or?
No, he went to fire. Fire stole him.
And I guess what I don't understand is, did they give you a 2 weeks notice, and that 2 weeks notice is not enough time to ask for it to be posted, to be filled? Or, I mean, you knew you were going to be losing someone, but it hasn't been posted yet.
Correct.
Yeah. I think in that matter, we had a great list when we hired our new investigator, and we had another applicant from that list who we really wanted to. And I think we're still possibly interested in him. We'll see if his name comes back up on the list. He was from out of state, And so there would have been some time to, so I think we just, because our new investigator is pretty awesome, we felt okay just continuing with him to see what happens with that applicant. But we've since put in the requisition to just get a new list, and we'll just interview and see what happens.
I guess the part I don't understand is you hired someone 11 days before the other person vacated the same position, and you couldn't just hire 2 people because you didn't know that the other person was going to vacate the position in 11 days later, or?
Yeah, we didn't get the full 2 weeks notice. The position opened up. It was a timing thing. It was fine. I mean, we didn't have any objection to it. It was for, it worked for his benefit, so it was fine with us. But yeah, we didn't have the 2 weeks notice.
Oh, shoot. Because if you did have the 2 weeks notice, you could have hired 2 right there?
Yeah. But
damn, that's a shame.
Okay.
Okay. You're saying you're fine. All right.
I'm done for this round.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? No, not for Member Cook, not for, okay. Member Rollins Fernandez is fine, and Member Kama's fine. I'm fine. Member Senensi, you have a question. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Real quick, just to follow up on Member Cook's question about recruitment. Is the personnel department doing the screening for you prior to for your vacancies, or are they sending the applications directly to the department?
Lisa can correct me if I'm wrong, but they screen for minimum qualifications. So we do not see anybody that doesn't meet personnel's standard of minimum qualifications in that sense. For civil service, correct. The corporation councils are much easier to recruit for. The deputies, sorry, not for me.
Okay, so you're not, if they don't qualify by the civil service standards by DPS, then you don't get any of those applications.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Member Paulton.
Besides having a deputy corporation counsel specifically for land management, how concerned are you? Like I was watching the news last night and they had, wildfire risk and areas in red, and there's plenty areas on Maui and look like maybe East and Molokai, all of Lanai and like that. And then our unmanaged county-owned properties being that, I think, KS's portion was like close to $1 billion because it started on their land. We got mile marker 13.5 that's loaded with problems, Cut Mountain area at the southern terminus of the bypass, and that's just West Maui. I think those areas are near to where fires started in 2018 and got right up to the edge of Lahaina up through Kauaula Valley. So beyond getting the deputy corp counsel in charge of land management, what kind of advice are you giving the county on these unmanaged lands that have had fires in the past that we know are a significant risk to our firefighters? Like, what advice is being given to the administration on how we proceed with the unmanaged county lands that we are aware pose a significant threat to life and property?
Well, we advise the fire department, and so I know that we have code enforcement. I know that our deputies have been very responsive to fires concerns about unmanaged property, absent owners. We've advised.
This is the county's own property under Parks and Rec, though.
Right, but they still present, if they present unmanaged vegetation, fire is still interested in trying to mitigate that. So as far as our advice is, we work with the fire department on that, even on county-owned properties, regardless of ownership. We try to advise them best ways to go ahead and manage the vegetation. But in terms of advice, I think that might be something we can talk about offline. And
Okay, because, you know, after the fire on August 8th, after the fire in 2018, it's been what are you doing? What are you doing to stop this from happening again? And so that's the question. You know, we've had fires start at mile marker 13.5. We have it start at Cut Mountain at the terminus of the bypass. You know, even to some extent, the property in Wailuku, how it's every time, you know, and multiple evacuations. So from the public perspective, when they ask, what are we doing? I'm not sure because it keeps happening.
Please.
It's a really good question, and part of, in trying to answer the questions that we just posted, I think that may have been one of your questions about county liability. One of the goals or hopes of our department is that a lot of times we are not pulled in until late in the game, and that's for a variety of reasons, because as you know, our department doesn't go out looking for issues and then drawing attention to them. My hope is by having a deputy who is exclusively working on land management issues in conjunction with a land manager from the Department of Finance. We will be brought into the conversation earlier and be able to do a number of things. One is identify, say, privately owned parcels, which are a nuisance over and over again, because we do see those in our department, say, for example, through the fire department, and be able to assess, for example, is that a parcel that we probably have an interest in acquiring as a county in order to make it not only less of a risk, but maybe we can use it to a better use. But then some of these parcels are not in the best interest of the county to obtain. We can't obtain all the nuisance properties, and nor should we. But we can certainly then have somebody who's more focused on looking at enforcement mechanisms and ways to get in there earlier and define that earlier, rather than waiting until the public is telling us it's a problem. Because right now, we are so stretched thin, and I want to say we are completely full. All of our deputy positions are full. But as the county grows and more departments are online and more boards and commissions, our department gets more overused. And this land management focus is something that I think we've all understood is a long time coming for a variety of reasons. And you've raised some very good ones. Liability. It's a big one.
Yeah, and I think you answered it for privately owned lands, but what happens when the nuisance is county-owned, unmanaged lands? And it doesn't seem like, regardless of who the department it's under or who the jurisdictions have to either remove toxic stuff or possibly people or whatever, I don't know who is assigned to lead that effort. And I guess maybe the land management administrator, but then if it's under finance, how does it coordinate with all the departments? Because usually that's a function of management.
So again, really good question, and this has been my sort of drive for a while, and that is that under the charter, the Department of Finance is kind of in charge of land management in a sense from the administrative point of view, but we know that the inventory covers all kinds of departments. But my vision is that by first of all establishing a really good inventory of what we have, what is it zoned, what are the best uses for that property, we can start to identify and laser in earlier on those nuisance properties. But our department, like I said, does not get involved in that, usually until a notice of violation is going out, or perhaps the public contacts us because they've attempted to contact the other departments and they're overworked. So by getting in earlier and having somebody focusing on that, my hope is that we have a better understanding of the big picture. But it's a very complicated picture because you have open space, you have parks and rec, but they're under the same department, and yet open space really isn't what they're used to dealing with. So there's a lot of things that need to get cleaned up here that I think might help with our liabilities.
And if you needed more than the 8 months funding and you have those other vacancies, you can just pull from that monies if you wanted to hire someone right away July 1st.
Yes, we could manage it.
And then I was wondering if you could clarify when you say the deputy court counsels are easier to hire because you don't have to go through personnel. How is the minimum qualifications verified? Is it just that they passed the bar exam and then from there you go on what fits for your needs?
No, we look at their resumes. We look at, when they passed the bar, what they've been doing since they passed the bar, where they've worked. Are they in state? Do they have housing here? So we look at a variety of things. And of course, we talk to them. We check their references. So we do everything. It's like core competency, right? We're looking at the whole picture, not just, okay, they passed the bar, so they can come work.
Personnel doesn't need to touch that at all.
No.
It's just, you have a hiring team for that?
Generally, it's myself, our first deputy, and depending if it's on the litigation side, we'll have our litigation supervisor. If it's on the counseling and drafting side, we'll have our counseling and drafting supervisor.
And the 2 expansion deputies are which side?
They would be on the counseling and drafting side.
Okay, are you done?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so members, we are at 12:40 and we're trying to end by 1 o'clock if we could. Any last questions for Corp Counsel? I'm going to excuse them and proceed on with what we had planned. None. Well, you have a question. Okay, Member Brownless-Fernandez.
Good job, everyone. Thank you. No questions.
Thank you.
Oh, nice. Okay, so while they are moving on, I'm going to say that members, as you know, you have been compiling your own priorities, and when you talk to the departments, I'm going to guess that you are asking them questions that are relevant to what your priorities may be, or in the residency area, or whatever it could be. So thank you for that. It's I do like what I see, and everyone is probably focused on where we need to be in terms of the budget. As you know, we had asked this past Monday which departments you may not want to hear from based upon their answering the questions. And tomorrow we have the East Maui Water Authority, and their department came up as not needing to meet with them. Did we get their questions in response? We haven't received their response yet to the members' questions, but they have answered the first question, which is the general questions that we did. Do you all want them to still come tomorrow? We start at 10 o'clock tomorrow. You're fine with East Maui Water Authority coming forward?
I'm fine with not hearing them, but emphasizing that we would like all the questions answered.
Right. Okay. Other members, are you fine? Okay, so no East Maui Water Authority tomorrow. Member Paulton, Member Kama, and Member Sinensi. Member Sinensi, you're, okay. So 3 of you are saying no need, but we have to get their responses. Member Kama, you're fine. So tomorrow we're gonna then, Member Paulton, you're the only one. What is your feeling about East Maui Water Authority?
No need.
Okay, so tomorrow then at 10 o'clock, we have Parks and Recs, water supply, and then we are going to eliminate the East Maui Water Authority. And please remember to ask them for their responses. Okay, so same question. I'm going to continue on. I know you didn't ask about this, but for next week, Monday, we have the fire and public safety, and that was one of them that you all said we don't need to hear from them, providing we get their response from. Yeah. Was fire not one of them? Oh, it was liquor and, prosecuting attorney, sorry. Okay, liquor and prosecuting attorney are actually on the 8th. So we're going to get their responses. I think we already got from prosecuting attorney their response to your questions. And we haven't yet heard from liquor. Not yet. Did they come through? We'll check. Okay. So they're on the 8th. So we'll visit that again. I would be surprised if we don't get from liquor because they were the first ones that responded to the initial questions. Okay, that's that. So tomorrow you got the change and you'll notify the department.
Chair.
Yes, Member Paulton.
The 7th seems a little bit heavy with fire, NEMA, planning, ag. So if we don't finish like at 4:30 or something, because Seaworm is in Lahaina that night. Can some of them carry over to the 8th if we don't have liquor and prosecuting attorney?
Yeah, we're already figuring out how can we switch around the calendar. We'll let you know.
Oh, okay.
We haven't gotten from both. Is Leslie still here? Do you have responses on your desk that you haven't transmitted to us?
Thank you, Chair. Those are not among the responses I've received, but I know they are working on them, and we will get them to you ASAP.
Okay, so what responses do you have that you haven't? Do you remember?
I have planning 1, ag 1. I believe I'm getting DEM 1 today. OEV was just transmitted. I have PD 2. I don't remember the rest, but the majority should be transmitted this afternoon.
Okay. Okay, getting there. Well, it's kind of a lot because we did send, your questions that were due on Monday. We sent it over to them. So appreciate that. Now, what I wanted to go over, do you have any more questions regarding the calendar? Okay. What I wanted to go over is basically the discussion on the real property tax rates, the range, and you passed out, Pauline, to everybody, the range. They already have it. Okay. So I have 2 on my desk. I want to make sure I have the correct one. It's a 1-pager. Rizzo. Oh, okay, I see it. I see the stamp. All right, so this is this was all due on Monday at 4:30. And this is a compilation of that. I wondered if anybody has any comments before we submit it to be filed with the clerk's office. Yeah.
Sorry, Chair, will you repeat that?
Yep. So we had asked that all the members submit their recommended range of this, right, on Monday. And so this is a compilation of what the members who complied with, or who submitted, I should say. And I wanted to just open for discussion, what the members will say before we take it to the next step. Member Rollins-Hernandez.
Mahalo, Chair. So you said this is a compilation and there isn't any variations. So was your or the team's process to look at whoever's tier 3 was the highest and tier 1 was the lowest and put those, because it's just, it only has one number? Or what was the process?
What I'm looking at the wrong. Can I have a copy?
You're talking about the range of rates, yeah?
I am.
Okay.
So the document that I have, okay, I see it says received by BFED committee 4/2/2025. And the tiers go owner occupied. Tier 1 goes to 600,000 to more than 4.5 million. Tier 2 is 600 to more than 4.5. And the last one is the same, right? But you're questioning on the non-owner occupied?
Rates. I'm talking about the rates. No, I'm not talking about the
rates.
thresholds. I'm talking about the range of rates. So I understand that. So there's the tier thresholds, which is what you just read. And there's the rates, which you didn't read, for the 3 tiers. My question is, since we don't have what each council member may have proposed, I don't know who sent you stuff, was the process to choose on this document to go with the lowest on the threshold, the lowest on the tier, and then the highest on the threshold and the highest on the tier, regardless of classification?
Okay, so go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, so what staff did is we went through each proposal and looked at what the members were proposing as it relates to both tiers and rates. And so we attempted to make sure that both ranges for the tiers and for the rates captured the members' proposed lowest and the proposed highest. So some members, they might not see exactly the rates that they proposed, but that's because the range that we had there is already there. I will want to note, though, that apologies, we did make one small error, I think, as it relates to commercial. The low should be $3 instead of $4. So we'll make that correction for the rates.
Which one? What did you say?
Yeah, for commercial, for all three tiers, we'll set the low as 3. So apologies, that was an error on staff side.
So what did you say commercial should be? Sorry.
So right now, for all 3 commercial tiers, the low end of the range is $4. A member proposed $3, so it should be 3.
It
So
should be 3.
apologies for that.
Okay. Okay, members. Member Cook, you look like you're going to say something.
So basically, this is for a point of reference, and we're going to go over this in the future. Okay.
It has to be posted so that it can become, public information. Like when we take up this, right? I have this date. Whatever it is, when we have the public hearing, then this will be what we use to talk from. And then when we do finalize our budget, we'll be using this. Okay, Member Ramos-Fernandez.
Mahalo, Chair. So the tricky part about posting the range is that if your proposal, when we do take up the rates, are outside the parameters in which we've posted the ranges, then we can't consider it without posting the range again. And generally, the timeline is too tight.
Yeah, so that happened to me last year.
Exactly.
When I wanted to lower bed and breakfast to
Bed and
3,
breakfast.
and that was the issue.
Right.
So as long as it's within the range, it's adjustable,
Right.
correct?
So, right, and using your example, if it's below the lowest that we post, then we can't consider it. Or if it's above the highest, then we can't consider it. Oh, put in your mic.
If we're not, if it's not exceeding or changing from the lowest to the highest, we are going to collectively identify what
Right.
the rates are.
Correct.
Thank you all very much.
Okay. So that last year was a situation that you ran into as well as Member Johnson. So we tried to adjust really Member Johnson's putting in tiers for agriculture. Yeah, we all remember that. And then Member Cook ran into that situation when we were actually discussing the rates for bed and breakfast, of which I remember Tom Crowley was very grateful that you tried to, hear his testimony, but we couldn't do anything because we were fixed on that. All right, members, so the discussion today is, anybody have any suggestions for this? We got the one changed from James regarding the $4 to $3 in commercial. Anything else? Member Kama.
I wanted to say that, when you set the rates, you should go as low as you can and set the high rates as high as you want. So there's lots of flexibility that you can choose from. And we can have those discussions when we actually come to that time in our budget. But give yourself flexibility. That's why I put the penny over there, just in case, right? And I didn't care about the high end, but whatever you all decide is okay, but go high. Anyway, thank you, Chair.
Okay. Member Rollins-Fernandez.
Perfect segue into what I was going to say, Member Kama. Mahalo for that setup right there. So for Tier 3, owner-occupied, I wanted us to increase it from 7 to 10. And then all the B, D, E, F. So non-owner occupied, hotel, resort, timeshare, short-term rental. The highest rate be 25. And then I wanted to propose for hotel, resort, and timeshare 2 tiers, below 100 million and above 100 million thresholds, with the same rate ranges.
Okay, got that?
Question, Chair.
Yes.
So you're adding a
Can you speak here? Yeah, go ahead.
So members proposing to add a tier for timeshare.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, hotel, I thought it was only hotel.
Timeshare as well. So Member Cook was correct. Hotel and resort and for timeshare, tier 1, 2, below 100 million and above 100 million. And when we get to voting, we can, not do tiers as well. But in order to consider tiers, we have to put it on this resol today for posting tomorrow.
Yeah.
Mahalo, Chair.
Yeah. Member Paulton.
A question for Corp Counsel. Or,
they're online.
our attorneys, or
There's
somebody
Christina
that
right there.
knows lawyer stuff. Oh, Ms. Toshikyo. For the hotels and timeshares, as we're tiering it or whatever, is it by ownership? Like, I think most timeshares, maybe they own 1 unit, possibly 3, but when we tax timeshares, we only tax the individual, not the property as a whole. And then for hotel zone properties, some of the short-term rentals are on hotel zone properties because a hotel is 20 units or more? And if an individual doesn't own 20 units, then they won't get the hotel tax? And does definition of hotel come into play that they have to have a 24/7 front desk? Is that any part of it? Like, if we're tiering it at 100 million, is there an individual that owns 100 million worth of timeshares?
Ms. Toshikyo.
Sorry, thanks. That was a lot of questions. I can.
Only because you're my
I know that
favorite
there are a
Corp
lot
Counsel.
Right. So a lot of several of the hotels, some of them are condominiumized as well. So that's something to also play into. They may have a variety of TMKs on. So there's multiple parcels that make up maybe one hotel. So there, I think we've discussed that before on how the hotel and resorts are different and what. That's why there hasn't been tiers, because then how do you value, because they're being valued as the property as a whole versus splitting it up into multiple parcels. So, I mean, that's kind of the similar situation for the TMKs. And as for hotels, for the classifications under 3.48, I believe it's a room count and the number of employees. I don't believe that there's a requirement of a 24/7 desk in the hotel classification.
So if somebody owns, like, say, 18 short-term rentals on one property, then they would be charged the STR tax rate.
They own individual properties on one property, or like is condominiumized, or
individual units on one hotel zone lot less than 20. Is the taxation going to be then short-term rental? If they own 20 or more, the taxation is hotel. Is that how that works?
I would have to check with real property tax, but a lot of the multiple short-term rentals are charge a short-term rental rate for each individual unit,
regardless of the zoning.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a similar that. Well, the zoning comes into play because then they get taxed at they get classified at their highest and best use. So, like, for instance, a hotel zoned property that doesn't qualify for a lot of the exemptions, if the highest and best use in the hotels is transient vacation use, then they would be taxed at TBR STRH.
Unless owner occupied.
Unless owner occupied, long-term rental, or they qualify for some sort of exemption.
So for timeshares, how is that fractional ownership? Timeshares are taxed by the entire property because it's all fractional ownership. So there's an overriding situation. Like, if you have I don't know, like KOR or Ironwood Estates or whatever it is, it's taxed as the property as a whole because each unit is fractional ownership?
I'll have to double check, but when we have done the only times I see the tax ones is sort of timeshares is when they go to the real property tax board of review, and each individual unit comes over as a separate case, separate appeal. But typically they'll appeal, the management will do the appeal. So I'd have to confirm that and get back to you on how that's handled.
Okay, do we need that in writing, Chair?
Yeah, okay.
You guys got it? You don't need me to repeat anything, right?
Could you repeat it one more time, just for clarity? Thank you.
Okay, sure.
Christina.
I was wondering how the taxation works for hotel and timeshare based on the ownership. Like for timeshare, it's fractional ownership. And so how the taxation is done on a fractional ownership, whether it's by unit, by fractional ownership, or by property as a whole. And same thing for hotel zoned units, if it's by unit or property as a whole. Because then the tiers would really matter. Like, I mean, for timeshare, it would be property as a whole, but for hotel, if one room is Miss Martin, hi. Maybe she wants to help us.
Go ahead, finish your statement.
For each hotel room unit, it could be taxed as a short-term rental, and then it wouldn't be in the hotel category until it reaches 20 units, is the question.
Ms. Toshikio, or did we see our
That
director?
was for James to write down.
Oh, that's your question. I see Marcy Martin popped up. You got it? Okay. So, Ms. Toshikio or Director Martin, one of you want to chime in?
Okay, thank you, Chair. This is Marcy Martin, the Director of Finance, and I did just jump on. So the question is, where is the cutoff for the hotel class? Is that right? In terms of the rooms? So Maui County Code 3.48.305 B7, if it has 8 or more lodging or dwelling units and employs more than 20 full-time persons, it is classified as hotel and resort. So hotel operations that don't meet that criteria are in the TBR class.
So to clarify, if an individual owns 7 units, then they would go into the short-term rental class, even if all the 7 units are on the same property?
Chair?
Yes.
Yes. So this portion of the code reads properties, not parcels. So it's an operation that has 8 or more lodging units is classified as hotel and resort.
And how do they calculate the more than 20 employees? Does that include marketing and like, you know, VRBO staff and stuff like that? How are the employees enumerated?
Thank you. So when we have a property that has less than 8 units, we send them a survey and ask them how many full-time persons they employ.
Oh, so self-report. Okay, got it. Thanks.
Okay. Member Cook?
Thank you, Chair. I have a question for Ms. Martin. If you have an 80-unit condominium that's currently being used as a TVR and it's rezoned as a hotel, how would that be taxed? And would they include like landscapers and pool people and anybody that worked for that building maintenance?
So because those are individually owned, so in other words, they're different owners, it's not operated as a hotel. So if it's an 80-unit condominium that's operated as a condominium project with multiple owners, they would all be in the TBR STRH property. If it was a hotel operation, say like Kealani, where it was one owner and they operated as a hotel, but they had 80 CPR units, then they would be classified as hotel.
So it wouldn't matter what the zoning is, it's what the use is. If it was zoned hotel, but it was 80 units, and they're all TVRs, they all became TVRs, they would all be taxed as a TVR.
Yes, they're taxed on the entitlements that they have from the county. So right now we have apartment zone units that have the entitlement to do transient vacation rentals. So they are classified as TVR. And then we have the entitlement to do short-term rentals is inherent in the hotel zoning. So those are also classified as TVR.
Are you fine? Member Cook, you're fine.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Member Rollins Fernandez.
Mahalo, Chair. And then I see Member Sinensi just also rose.
Okay, Member
raised.
Sinensi after.
Yeah, his hand. Mahalo, Director Martin. I'm so sorry. Mahalo for jumping on. So sorry for bombarding you with text questions. Are you, so I did like a quick sampling on mypropertytax.com. So like Wailea Resorts, 15 acres, 231 million. Kealani, 20 acres, 452 million. Hotel Molokai, 2.5 acres, 429,000. Hotel Lanai, 12 acres, 2.2 million, just to kind of get a sample for what would make sense for thresholds. Are you concerned that if we were to create tiers at hotel resort on the classifications for hotel resort and timeshare, that properties may condominiumize?
Ms. Martin.
Thank you, Chair. So right now we do have a few hotel properties that are condominiumized, and I don't know the value levels, but Kealani is one of them, Andaz, Ritz-Carlton. So everyone is assessed for the tiers per parcel. So if a tier structure was created, for example, some of their lower value properties would have a different tax rate than their higher value properties, TMKs on that one parcel. So in theory, a property could condominiumize and create, 1,000 units, and then the pieces would be lower value than the whole for hotels. If you were concerned about the smaller hotels being in the same class as the larger hotels, we may want to look at that definition in 3.48.305 that I just read, but that would be for the following year.
Okay, and then timeshares, same concern? Because you said hotel resort.
Oh, yes, thank you. So timeshares, I'll give you an example, would be Nanea is, I think, 1 TMK, and it's next door to Ka'anapali Ocean Resort and Ka'anapali Ocean Resort North, and those are condominiumized. So as a total value, Nanea is going to have a really high value compared to the individual condominium units of the timeshare properties that are condominiumized. Again, I think Worldmark and Nanea aren't condominiumized, and I think the rest of them are, but
Okay, mahalo, Director Martin. And I'll explain the thought process, because we did have this discussion in years past, and I never requested valuations to kind of make this determination. I was encouraged by folks in Tier 3 to charge a higher rate, that it's become an incentive for people to buy property here, like multi-million-dollar properties here, because our property taxes are so low. But in looking at how we charge those individual properties and how we charge hotels, it didn't seem equitable to charge a Tier 3 non-owner occupied higher than hotel, which we do now. And so I was looking at ways to be able to address that inequity in our property taxes. But we can look at it some more. And so the posted resolution is due tomorrow. And if we were to put tiers on it, so the proposed tier for hotel resort and timeshare that I stated was less than 100 million and more than 100 million, so just 2 tiers. But I share the concern of condominiumization. Director Martin.
thank you. So, if you put it on the resolution, then you can request kind of a study to see what is in the 2 tiers, and then come after certification on April 17th, you can take a deeper dive.
Mahalo, Director. Okay, and then Chair for Agriculture. If Tier 3, the parameters are 8.5, I guess since we have Director, it's okay. I withdraw the question.
So are you all feeling okay with where we are with this discussion? We have to file tomorrow. So we got to finish this by tomorrow. Do you want to take this up again tomorrow, or are you fine with this? There's not everybody here, too. Go ahead.
Chair.
Oh, sorry, Member Sinensi. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Member Sinensi, then Member Kama.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. We proposed a 4th tier for non-owner occupied and short-term rentals, but Mr. Kruger said that we weren't able to. It did include our tax rate within the 3rd tier, but I was wondering if we could, and I know Member Rollins Fernandez talked about raising, if we could increase the Tier 3 to 10 million for non-owner occupied, as well as short-term rental homes.
So you're saying on
Because
tier,
it looks,
is that what you said, Tier 3 up to, so 600 to more than 10 million? Is that what you just said?
Yeah, and for short-term rentals up to 10 million, since tier 2 goes up to 7.5 million.
Okay. So for
That way we can go ahead and capture more of the luxury homes. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you on that. Member Kama.
So why don't you go to the commercialized residential on the tier 1 and change that rate of $3 to 1 cent to make it equal to non-owner occupied, up to owner occupied, non-owner occupied apartment and long-term rental. And so just to put a penny over there where it says tier 1, $3. And we can, well, on the commercialized residential. Yeah.
Okay, so you're saying you want the commercialized residential, which is bed and breakfast, the first rate to be similar to what's at owner occupied.
Right.
As well as.
For consistency.
But long-term goes to 1 cent to $8?
Yeah.
On that one?
At least we have a discussion about that when we come to the time and place.
Okay, so you wanted to go 1 cent to $3? Is that what you're saying?
No, just remove the $3, put 1 cent, leave the $9 there.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I see. Okay, got it.
Chair?
Yes.
Apologies, just to clarify, is the change only for the first tier of commercialized residential, or should changes be made to the other 2 tiers as well?
So you want it to be consistent with owner occupied?
It's fine, the other tiers. I'm okay with the other tiers.
Okay, so the second tier would be $3 to 9.
Right.
Okay. And the third tier would be 3 to 12.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else have any comments? Oh, Member Sinensi, you got to express your concerns, right? Okay, you're fine. I'm gonna take like a 3-minute recess. Oh, go ahead.
What time tomorrow does it need to be posted? 12 o'clock or 4:30 or?
Apologies, I will check real quick.
Okay.
And then, roughly, we could try to look at the certifications from last year to see the spread, the tier spread. So, I mean, if the posting is not due till 4:30, I wouldn't mind an opportunity to revisit if necessary.
Yeah.
Chair?
Yeah.
The clerk's office has requested that we provide them the resolution by noon tomorrow.
Noon tomorrow, okay. So tomorrow, let's see, we're gonna go to Hana today and then come back at 10 o'clock tomorrow for when we start our meeting. And we can start off with this, I guess. Yeah? Okay. So let's pick up this conversation, and we have to meet that deadline. I don't know, and we're not doing East Maui Water Authority, so we'll have some time, extra time, and have parks and water after the discussion for real property tax ranges. Okay? Member Paulton.
Chair, when you go to Hana, could you take pictures for me of you know what?
Is it the cows, right? On the side of the road?
No.
Oh, not that one? Oh, that's always very interesting.
What kind of toilet paper they get?
So that's because she was at the Pukalani Hannibal Tavares Community Center, and she was doing an photo inventory of the bathroom there and trying to compare it to what's in West Maui. So I will do that.
We have toilet paper rolls, but we do have porta potties.
So funny.
They told us the rolls was too expensive.
So funny.
We get the squares.
Okay, so we are a little bit past the 1 o'clock time, members. I'm going to defer this discussion and pick it up tomorrow morning and ask that we look at what the certification was for last year, Member Paulton, and then we can also talk to Director Martin and then we'll just take it from there, right? You guys are fine? Yeah? And you'll have whatever was recommended on another present.
Yes, Chair, we'll prepare a further revised reso for the committee's consideration tomorrow.
Okay, very good discussion. Okay, members, so I'm going to defer this item, all the items, and this meeting is now, do I need to do anything else? No, this meeting is now adjourned.